I love this song.
Me
That
too.
saxophone. That saxophone. Da, 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 da. It just talks to you. Talk to me, saxophone. What are you saying? It thinks the trial's done as well.
It does? It said so?
Yeah, it just
Oh.
did that. Ba, 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 ba. So it was like, I was like, yeah, the trial's done, and then it just went ba, 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 ba. Right here. Let me. Right here. Right there. Watch. The trial's done. Right. See? It said it. Didn't it?
Okay. I didn't know that's what that meant the whole time.
I didn't either until I asked it. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, it's early too. I am excited for today. I really am. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, Miss Cosmo. Hopefully, you're doing well. We're going to discuss this morning. We're going to discuss some of the TikTok lady, and also the abrupt ending. I've slept on it. I still haven't changed what I think took place. Hopefully, we find out today. It'd be kind of nice before the jury comes in, you know. Or if the jury's present, I don't know. I think it has something to do with the jury personally. Before we get into everything, Rosie, what now that you've had a night to sleep on it or morning, whatever it is in South Africa, um, what do you think is the reason it abruptly ended yesterday?
So I'm not completely sure, but I do think that it has something to do with the TikTok lady. And I also think it has something to do with, oh, sorry, that's my cat running around. Um, I
What's up,
think that it
kitty?
I think it also has something to do with whatever Reddington wanted to say before they went on that break, but we didn't get to hear what it was that he wanted to talk about.
Okay, well, that's perfect because we're going to rewatch after the prosecution was done talking before they went to break. We're going to rewatch that part, skip the break, excuse me, and then go back to it abruptly ending. I agree with you. What do you think? Because I agree with you. I think it has something to do with the TikTok lady. And we'll go deeper with the next question. What do you think took place with the TikTok lady for court to abruptly end? Because the judge, this is unforeseen. This is something that we didn't even, think was going to happen, really. What do you think that was?
I'm at a loss. Like, I really, I'm not sure. I know, I just feel strongly it has something to do with her, but I just couldn't say so what it is.
Well, I slept on it the whole night, and what I brought up yesterday was um, basically, I think one of the jury members uh, was upset that they weren't going to be able to hear the testimony from TikTok lady. And I think they pulled out their phone. They pulled out their phone. They pulled up the live stream. If it's not that, you know how the judge always says, don't talk about it, don't think about it, don't look it up, don't nothing, right? I wonder if it came out that one of the jury members watched some of her TikTok videos. That could not necessarily that they pulled up the live stream when they were on their break. Because, you better not do it, Nancy. You better not do it, Nancy. That's not going to be good for the trial. I don't care. I should be able to see that. And then they do it. I think that's what took place. But it could have been the judge. Why would the judge don't search about it, don't think about it, don't talk about it? Why would he remind them every single day if they didn't have access to that? And so I think it could easily be that they found out that one of the jury members let it slip that they already looked up the TikTok lady or something. Definitely, this is my main concern though. Is it gonna make? Because I've been asking this whole time, is this gonna end in a hung jury? But I have to ask now, is this gonna end in a mistrial because of what took place? I
I've
think
been,
it's something major. I really
yeah,
do.
I've been seeing a lot of people speculating that that's where this is going, which is, I mean,
Mistrial.
yeah,
You have to wonder
yeah.
because we're gonna watch it again, and we're gonna open up a live call. We got a couple things we're gonna get through though. I think it's important. Rosie and I both think it's important that we discuss the differences between postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis because there's a lot of people out there in the community that are kind of morphing them together, and they're completely different. So we're going to go through a little bit of that. We're going to go through the TikTok lady. If you haven't seen the videos, we're going to show them to you so you can see them here this morning. We're going to again rewatch the ending of yesterday just to get a refresher of how it all went down, look even closer at it, and then we're going to open it up for a live call. Or if we can't fit one in, we're definitely going to take some calls at some point during the day today. And also, I really think that this trial is wrapping up. I said yesterday that in the beginning of the show that I think, typically with trials and the outline, it's the cast of characters always change, but the outline stays the same. And to me, it was in that part of the outline where you may have a whole bunch of other witnesses to bring up, but I really think it's like, okay, we locked it up. This is a good way to end it. We don't really need the other ones. They were there if we needed them. We're just gonna, cut it off right now, and we're gonna go ahead and see where we end up. I think that's where we're ending up at the trial, and if it doesn't end in a mistrial because of some kind of tampering or whatever, um, I honestly think if we get to the closing arguments, it could be today too. We don't know. It could be today that we have closing arguments. But say we have closing arguments today or tomorrow, I really think it sets it up for the whole weekend for the jury to kind of decide. And I really think it would take that long for the jury to decide. So if we do have closing statements today or tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if we see you back here Monday morning to hear the verdict, because I think it's going to take. I think it's going to take that long. I'm hoping they do closing arguments today. They give the jury the rest of the day tomorrow to come up with a verdict. We sit back, we wait, and hopefully they come up with one tomorrow if that's the scenario. But man, I still think it could end up in a hung jury. What do you think is, what are you feeling now with all of this? I mean, obviously today, hopefully we're going to learn a little more about what happened yesterday, the way that it ended. But you know, what are you feeling vote wise now, Rosie, and you guys in chat? What are you feeling vote wise? Do you think hung jury? Do you think guilt by insanity? Um, do you think she's going to be criminally held responsible for the crime? Or do you think it's going to be a mistrial? Man, I'm leaning on hung jury mistrial now.
Yeah, I think it's between the two. I'm kind of still on the side of hung jury just until we know what's going on a little better, but i- it's between the two. I'm still thinking hung jury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out what took place today. All right. So, what are we going to get into first? I think we should get into the differences of postpartum depression and psychosis.
Yes. And I also wanted to tell you, and I'll tell you now so that everyone can hear this. When I was looking for some of this content for today, I looked for articles as well as videos. And I struggled with the articles because all of them, they were pretty good and they gave an outline of the difference. And then at the end, they were like, but it's very treatable with online therapy and our practice can help. Like, it
Whoa.
was, and then I was like, well, that's
Whoa.
not what we're trying to advertise here because we know what
Whoa.
happened there. So
But Rosie,
the majority of the
Rosie,
articles, yeah,
that's like, look at what we're dealing with right now and how dangerous it is, right?
exactly, yeah,
With how dangerous it is, and you're literally, I mean, I'm getting the impression that you'd rather go to videos or something, or because
definitely,
it it's because of all the promotion about how it can be so easily treatable online.
yeah. So I found
That's
quite a few
creepy as
websites,
hell.
yeah. So I
Right,
was,
Miss Cosmo? That's a
yeah,
huge part of the problem.
yeah. So that's why I wanted to tell everyone, like, there
Wow.
were articles, but the majority of them were coming from a. Oh my goodness, this cat. Sorry. The majority of them were coming from a, like, they were good articles explaining the difference, but then at the end of it there was just some kind of a advertisement, and the majority of the advertisements were speaking about online therapy. There was nobody who was like, come into our practice. So I just thought that was really interesting considering what we're actually, you know, dealing with in this
Wow.
trial. So
That's so creepy.
I
Cause
know, I
like
know.
what, like that's so man, that
Yeah,
needs to be highlighted too.
yeah, but I didn't want to advertise those websites, but I wanted to tell you guys that that's
Right.
what I saw.
Right.
Yeah,
So yeah, we're gonna use
we're
videos
using
because
video.
we're not advertising those services, so some other mother can go through the same thing. I don't think that's
Right. Yeah.
right. Wow, that's creepy. Isn't that creepy? Like we're just
So
looking up
creepy.
information to read and go through, and it's full of advertisements and how easy it is to treat. That is so creepy because it's not. You know, this whole trial, this isn't a trial about whether Lindsay Clancy killed her three children. This is a trial about postpartum psychosis and the dangers and the realities of it. And this is not a game. This is not a chemical game to be played. There's children involved in every single one of these situations.
Yeah.
That's the fucked up part.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So creepy. All right. Well, we're gonna. Is there a specific? I see we got. Holy shit. There's a lot of videos on all. Which one do you want to? Holy
The
hell, Rosie. Damn, you
the
really knocked it out of the park yourself.
the first one that's in, they're in order. So the
Oh,
first
in
one,
order of how you want to play it?
yeah, and I don't even think they're all necessary, but the
Damn.
top one that's in there is very good.
Damn, Rosie, you even put them in order. Holy hell, you guys. Okay. Well, we're going to check that one out first. Thank you again, Rosie.
You're welcome.
All right. The differences between postpartum depression and psychosis. Rosie edition.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're now turning to a very difficult story making headlines across the country. Lindsay Clancy, a 32-year-old labor and delivery nurse at Massachusetts General Hospital, is being charged with killing her 3 children, the youngest just 7 months old.
And there are so many unanswered questions, and obviously this is heart-wrenching that this happened, Dr. Jen. But let's talk about the difference between postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, because they are completely different.
They're completely different, and we have to first start, you guys, by saying this is the most tragic but the most clear example of mental illness in postpartum psychosis. So let's go through the difference, because they're not really on a spectrum, right? They are night and day. Number one, postpartum depression, we've talked about it, incredibly common, thought to affect, 10 to 20% of women giving birth in this country. It includes highs and lows emotionally, fatigue, a sense of guilt, anxiety, difficulty caring for that woman herself or the baby. And again, very, very common, 1 in 7, and oftentimes treated initially with medication, but then support therapy, talk therapy. Postpartum psychosis, the definition of psychosis, you guys, is impaired reality testing, impaired judgment and insight. This can involve psychotic symptoms like delusions, auditory or visual hallucinations. We think that those with bipolar disorder or schizophrenia are at higher risk. And I want to be crystal clear, this is considered a medical emergency. If any woman is experiencing any of these symptoms, or you think that you are near a woman who's experiencing those symptoms, she needs to be brought to an emergency room in some cases, and support and safety needs to be priority number one, both for the baby or any other children, as well as for that woman.
So I'm going to pause it right there. And that lady said it all. Like, this is a medical emergency.
Yep.
So the multiple times Lindsay was not only failed from the medical staff, because honestly, as much as Patrick wants to sue the medical professionals, the lawsuit, they should be included in it. Let's be real. You have a mother that not only tells the husband, but tells the mom-in-law, the family, together and separately. You have an instance where Lindsay is on the phone with Patrick talking about the frickin' voices talking to her while she's on the damn phone with Patrick. When did that not become a medical emergency? And the mother-in-law, my God, with what you did for your profession, how you didn't even know or get it that it was a medical emergency yourself, woman? The family failed her as much as the medical staff did.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why this particular video is so important. And this is an older video. It's from around the time that this case happened. So they weren't aware of all of the stuff that's coming out in court when they did this interview, but it does seem very, very relevant, directed at the family when you hear what's said here.
Mom-in-law especially. And the friend, Dr. Tufts. What? Ridiculous. Hopefully the jury understands this, My gosh, so crazy. That is, that Patrick and Mama they have the same fucking look too. I'm sorry, I'm getting angry. They have the same look too. The deer lost in headlight look. Both of them. You could take screenshots of both of their faces. They both have the same exact look. Deer Lost in lights. Huh? 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 My God. Who was going to help her? She didn't have anybody medically. I mean, what the hell, man? No wonder the voices won. Because when you're in that condition, it means you have one knee on the ground. You need somebody to grab your hand and pull you back up. You don't have the strength to be on two legs on your own. You're on one. You need somebody to pull you up and say, come on, let's keep going. Who in the hell did that for Lindsay? Nobody. No wonder the voices won. So sad.
Are the signs easy to miss?
You know, for postpartum depression, I've seen that in my 22 years of being a practicing physician hundreds and hundreds of times. That's a woman who's tearful, and that's not subtle. When you are with someone who is psychotic, that is absolutely not difficult to miss, you guys. It is oftentimes frightening for the person who's observing it. Trust your instincts. Get help. This is not something you fix or support on your own.
But as common as postpartum depression is, it is not a risk factor for psychosis, right?
It's really not. They're separate. And postpartum psychosis, much, much more rare, 1 in 500 to 1 in 1,000. But it starts acutely in days and weeks following delivery. Postpartum depression starts much later. Usually, we're talking weeks, months, or even later in that first postpartum.
As soon as you spot it, get help right away.
100%. And this is mental illness 101 that we're seeing here, and it is a tragic story.
Yeah, and if you don't feel comfortable calling your doctor or telling someone you love, or if you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, there is free confidential help. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All you have to do is call or text the National Lifeline. That number is 988. You are not on your own with this.
Let me go ahead and display that there. Oh.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to hear, everything that they're saying. You're just like, how? No wonder, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. No wonder Patrick wanted to freaking get over this as soon as possible. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, I'm pulling up a YouTube feed so I can actually see messages because StreamYard's bugging.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, and look, when it comes to what she said at the end there in terms of how postpartum psychosis is something that comes on in days or weeks after delivery, I suppose that is an average because that isn't how it happened with Lindsay, but I think that people are different. And since it is such a rare condition, they seem to be saying there's probably different ways that it manifests as well. But one thing to take from it is that she said that if you are with a person with this condition, it's really not difficult. Like it's you can't miss it. That's what she's saying.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not easy to miss. And what's up, Love and Other Habits? Here's a breakdown of what we did at Patrick's testimony there. Love and Other Habits, the gaslighting that Lindsay could have went through. And I brought that up during this vertical or horizontal. Here's the horizontal version. When court had a break last Friday and we finally had an opportunity to go through Patrick's whole testimony and break it down, because we've had a lot of questions regarding that. And that's one of the things I brought up, that, I still continue to question myself, the opportunities, and I almost feel like it kind of how the voices won. You know what I'm saying? Like the gaslighting. We brought it up in the breakdown, and how he could have totally, you don't need these meds, I mean, just the negativity. I mean, shit, he wasn't even around the last, what, August, September, October, November, December, January, 6 months. He wasn't even really around.
Yeah.
The negativity, it's kind of like I said, like she already had succeeded 2 times before when she felt this and overcame it. So that would have naturally given her the confidence to do it the third time. But there was something different at play that she couldn't get over, and that was the distance in the relationship. You don't know how to navigate that. You already navigated this, but then you add the distance from the relationship mixed in with it, and voices win.
Yeah.
Why would she need to protect the kids if Patrick wasn't involved in her plan, right? How does that? Because she didn't want the kids to be left with Patrick.
Yeah, I think one thing that stood out to me from when we rewatched his testimony was that I think that there was, I'm not even sure how to word it, but like financial guilt tripping going on when it came to going to work and stuff like that. And that's a red flag in so many ways, especially with letting the nanny go. It felt like a
Right.
financial power play to me.
Yeah, why would you let the nanny go when you need the nanny the most? She's not getting sleep. What's one of the best things that you could have done, Patrick, to help your wife? Allow her to get some sleep. Just think about when we don't get enough sleep. Do we not see shit and hear shit? Of course we do. The more we don't get sleep, the more we see and hear shit. So you would think you got a nanny, let her get some rest. It's the easiest way to fix anything. If you're sick, get rest. I mean, there's get
It fixes
rest,
everything, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or it helps lead to the path to do that. And so, yeah, the time that you needed the nanny the most, you got rid of her. How does that make sense? It doesn't. I get where some of the conspiracies come from. I really do, because you look at not that I'm into them. I just think that Patrick wasn't involved emotionally, physically, and that's what contributed to the mental decline of Lindsay, mixed with everything else. If she had the support of her husband, like she did the first 2 kids, I'm sure she would have overcame it. I'm sure if he would have listened to the signs the first time, they got her in there and they got the right help for her, not telehealth. They got the right help for her. I don't think this would even be happening.
Yeah, I don't think that he's involved in any way. I mean, I'm not
Not
really with those.
physically.
Yeah.
Not physically. He just
But
wasn't involved. That's the problem.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like I agree with you, and to a certain extent, I have like an appreciation for what he is going through. I mean, I get that, I do, but I just there's definitely issues that were leading up to it that I mean,
Contributed.
yeah.
All that stuff. Just think if her, like I said in the beginning, it's all dominoes and they all knock into the other one for these tragedies to happen, for that last domino to fall. Just think, what if Patrick's mother would have done the right thing with all of her background and knowledge, and she should have known right then that it was a medical emergency? Instead, she refers some lady that has no experience except for reading from a book. and it's telehealth. Like, just think if one of these dominoes actually helped Lindsay, we wouldn't have those last dominoes fall. It wouldn't have happened. There would be that gap because, this domino helped Lindsay. And then you take that domino out of that line and it doesn't continue the path that reaches the end. So horrible. Right. That's another thing. Kid Kitty brings up a great point too. She was
Yeah.
a mandatory reporter. What the hell? Family failed her too, as much as the medical, because they did, except for Dr. Ziesel. These medical professionals,
Yeah.
man, they didn't help her at all. The ones prescribing all the medications and shit. But the family didn't either. And that's pretty sad. You're reaching out to your own family. Like, let's be honest. How many people that have had thoughts of hurting other people and themselves and expressed it to a whole family? How many times does that happen? Usually nobody says anything. Usually if they say anything, it's to one person. You never hear of somebody standing in front of a whole family and saying, look, I'm having these thoughts about hurting my children and hurting me. And for somebody to reach out that far and not have anybody take their hand and they're still one knee on the ground looking up with their hand out and they're waiting for somebody to take their hand and help pick them up, and not one of them. She went as far as to tell the whole family, and they all left her with her hand extended, just needing a little push. Isn't that sad when you sit back and think about it? Yes, but to be the devil's advocate, what if Lindsay mentioned the issues she had with PC's mother and they had already taken her to EI? And this is what is concerning too, because, when it comes to the diary, right? Like, we know the stuff that was said in the diary, but the thing is we never hear anything about the family.
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't that weird? And it makes me wonder, you think you would have something in there, whether you had good days or bad days. There was nothing about family, and it makes me wonder, did they try to distance themselves from her while she was going through this?
I don't know, but I think that the prosecution is definitely trying to exploit that query as well when they were cross-examining, or not, when they were speaking to the mother and kind of trying to pin them up or create this rift.
Yeah.
So there's something there as well, I think.
Yeah, like they know something's there. They just couldn't bring it out. Right.
Yeah.
They just couldn't bring it out. They weren't crafty enough to bring it out. Because it really makes, because you know what I'm saying? Like, you think you would have notations about, yes, Patrick and I had a wonderful day together, or Patrick and I had a really bad day. You don't see none of it. And so that's what makes me question, okay, well, it's one thing if you don't see negative, but if you don't see positive, well, then how can you say that the negative didn't exist? Because usually if you don't see negative and you see positive, well, then it's pretty healthy. Or if you see just negative and not much positive, well, then it's not healthy. You're typically not going to see neither. And so we know that he wasn't around much for the last 6 months. If he's like that, I'm sure she was like that too. You know, did she get treated differently because she was going through these things? Oh, don't bring her over to this year's Thanksgiving, Patrick. We just can't have any episodes. It's too embarrassing, Patrick. You know, shit like that. It's just too embarrassing around the family.
It's possible, yeah.
There was nothing there, so how alone did she feel, you know? Let me see. Let's check out some of these TikTok things here real quick. We're kind of running behind. Let me see here. So let me pull this up. Okay, I'm a social worker. Hold on. I wish I could pause it. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to have to refresh it after we share it. Let me pull it up. We'll check it out here real quick.
And I also worked on the exact inpatient unit at McLean for nearly 8 years that Lindsay Clancy was a patient at. Very important. I was not there when she was there, but I literally worked there for 8 years. We need to correct the misinformation that this prosecutor is saying about McLean and what the stay there is like. So I'm going to break down everything for you and tell you the truth. Let's preface this with identifying what the prosecutor's approach is with the McLean stay in particular. The prosecution is trying to say that if Lindsay really wanted to get better, why didn't she engage in treatment more? And then the prosecutor specifically talks about McLean, what's offered there, and identifies things that Lindsay did not participate in. And we need to correct that. Let me tell you how it actually works. So the first thing the prosecution brings up with Patrick Clancy is that he has stated that he felt like she didn't really get any treatment while she was at McLean. And one of the things that he was under the impression of was that she didn't really see a doctor while she was there. Now, the prosecutor then says to him, well, are you aware she actually saw a doctor each day and she saw a resident? Are you aware of that? And he says, no, I wasn't under that impression. Let me tell you exactly why that is. In general, there are around 23 patients on the unit at a time. And because of that, there are usually around 4 to 5 physicians in charge, we call them, 4 to 5 psychiatrists who split up the patients, so that there's not just one doctor seeing 23 patients. Each doctor has usually around 5 to 6. They vary a little bit, but they are limited. And that 23 patient population is divided up and it's split amongst doctors. When a patient is admitted to the unit, they are specifically assigned 2 clinicians. One is a psychiatrist and the second is the social worker. You are literally told as a patient, this is your treatment team. This is your doctor. This is your social worker. With that being said, legally, every patient needs to be seen at least once a day by a doctor. So on the weekends and on the holidays, when the physicians in charge, the regular physicians who are working there, are off because they work weekday hours, on the weekends and on holidays, the patients still need to be seen by a doctor. How that works is that there is one doctor who comes on the weekend and holidays, and he or she sees every single patient on the unit, okay? And if you think about it, there's a reason that the doctors who are there during the week are only assigned 4 to 5 patients, because you cannot spend a long amount of time as a doctor with 23 different patients. So the job of the weekend doctor, as we call them, the holiday doctor, is literally to just go quickly check in with every patient. It is not a lengthy meeting by any means. So this idea of the prosecution saying, well, she actually did see a doctor, so that was kind of a lie. She saw a doctor. She didn't see her doctor. Now, moving on to the next part. The prosecutor also says to Patrick Clancy, well, are you aware that there is actually one-on-one therapy offered on the unit every day? This is what really pissed me off. There is absolutely no one-on-one therapy offered on that unit. What this prosecutor is referring to is what we literally call check-ins. And you know who does those check-ins? It is unlicensed individuals. This is a job where you only have to have a high school degree to get it. And I can say this because I did that job for 5 years. I was the clinician who was performing one-on-one therapy in her mind? No, I was doing check-ins. I did that job. So I promise you, this was not one-on-one therapy. I love my coworkers, and this is no disrespect to them. We were not people who were licensed or qualified in any way to give therapy, and we did not. And within these check-ins, I'm going to tell you what the conversations are. How's your day? How'd you sleep? Have you been able to eat today? Have you been able to go to groups? What's your treatment plan? Have you talked to your family? What's your doctor saying? There are brief questions at the end where we say, are you feeling safe? They aren't safety assessments, let's be honest. You do check that little box, but I'm telling you, that's the line of questioning. It is not one-on-one therapy. Now let's talk about something the prosecutor brought up today. She brings up and tells Patrick Clancy, are you aware that, Lindsay was also checked on every 15 minutes by staff? Let me tell you what she's referring to. We literally call this checks, okay? And it's when we would go around on the unit every 15 minutes, staff has to go around the unit. And you know what your job is on 15-minute checks? You make sure everybody's alive. You make sure everybody's not, people try to commit suicide on the unit. And the 15-minute checks is not conversations. We're going around and we're literally checking off on a board. We saw this person. You put a check, you put an A if they're in bed awake, and you put an S if they're asleep, and you put an O if they're off the unit. That's it. You're just going around. This isn't like check-ins. You're just visually putting eyes on them to legally indicate that they are okay. But this is not a check-in. It's just, hello, I see you. So another thing the prosecutor brings up today, and again, I think this is from the idea of clearly Lindsay was well enough. She brings up how, are you aware that Lindsay was granted permission to, go off the unit, go outside, right? And Patrick's like, well, yeah, I was aware, she went for a walk, and the prosecutor is kind of like, so she was allowed to go out. And again, I think she's trying to be like, if she was allowed to go outside, clearly she was okay. And I'm going to tell you guys something. 75% of the patients who are admitted to the unit within 2 days get granted that permission. Sometimes it's the day they get there. The only patients who don't get granted that permission, and especially quickly, are the ones who are acute safety concerns. Those are patients who can't be trusted, in a sense, to not try to harm themselves if they leave the unit. There are patients who are flight risks, and they can't be granted the permission to go off the unit. So this idea of well, Lindsay was granted that permission, it really doesn't have much meaning, because if I'm being honest, everybody is granted that position unless you are really actively doing something to yourself. So this isn't that deep. Now the prosecution starts talking about the discharge piece at McLean, and it does sound like Lindsay asked to be discharged. And the obvious thing to think about is why would she want to stay on the unit any longer when she's not getting any help? It is logical to ask to be discharged. And she was discharged, she wanted to go to one of her children's birthday parties. And her asking to discharge to be able to go to her kid's birthday is a completely normal thing that people get discharged for. Birthdays, graduations, funerals, bigger events that people want to be a part of, that is good for them to be a part of. If the person is deemed safe, which I'll get back to, the team is usually happy to allow that. So her asking to be discharged for her kid's birthday is not abnormal. It's very normal. And I also think it is indicative of her wanting to be a mom, which, is the opposite of what this prosecution is trying to say. All right, now my last and most important part. Even though Lindsay asked for discharge and it was granted, McLean failed her. These outpatient, I'm sorry, Dr. Jennifer Tufts. I mean, I'll say it. We know the name, but I think that woman needs to lose her license. I'm going to be straight up. McLean needs
100%. 100%.
They did clearly not do their proper assessment when they granted her discharge. I'm going to be straight up, okay? And I'm going to say that as somebody who's worked on that unit and had to approve discharge. You are a well-trained mental health professional. You know when you are assessing a woman with postpartum mental health, you need to be doing a damn good job of making sure that she's not going to go hurt her kids because of where she's at in her mental health. And I don't think McLean did a proper assessment. I don't think they asked any questions about the kids. A lot of times when you're discharging from this unit, it's about, are you going to go hurt yourself? And she was suicidal. So she should have had a suicide assessment. But knowing that this is postpartum, I do believe that McLean failed her by not doing a better assessment about where she was at with her kids. I don't care that I worked there. I don't care that I respect the hospital. I respect a lot of the clinicians there, but no program is immune from clinicians who aren't doing their job properly. And her asking to discharge, it's on the clinicians. They let her go. We are held to a specific criteria to let patients go. They failed her. I know this is a long ass video, but I felt it important to give like literally firsthand perspective. I'm watching this case, listening to this prosecutor just lie and gaslight. And I'm like, I'm enraged at the lies that you're telling. I mean, in general, but specifically at McLean, I'm like, I know that what you're saying isn't fucking true because I did it. I was there for 8 years on that exact unit. Like I said, how are there 2 female prosecutors prosecuting this case? It's beyond me. It's sickening. It's traumatizing. This woman doesn't want to be alive. And all that this case is doing is further traumatizing. If you guys don't care about Lindsay, fine. I do, but let's look at the other people. This is traumatizing Patrick Clancy further. This is traumatizing an entire jury. Can you imagine? These are just civilians doing their, civilian duties and doing jury duty. And there's such a thing as vicarious trauma. And that's when you're traumatized by somebody else's trauma. And this shit is dark. The prosecutors need to show these onesies, and we know the kids are not here anymore. All it is like torturing, this family over and over again. And I think it's abomination. I think it is awful. And I don't know how these prosecutors sleep at night, if I'm honest. The only positive reframe I can think is that this better be a marker in history. Shit needs to change with women's mental health. And I think everybody's waking up with this. I know there's a lot of people who are just kind of assholes and they're just like, she's a monster. But I've seen a lot of a switch of people being like, what the fuck? So these healthcare, clinicians need to be held responsible. It's them at the end of the day. And this is a fucking tragedy.
I think you're muted.
Shout out, I couldn't have said it better, honestly. Holy hell. No wonder the defense wanted to bring her up as a potential witness. And
Yeah.
at the same time, with what she said, if one of these jury members did do the search that they weren't supposed to do, according to the judge's instructions at the end of every single day of trial, that could definitely be tampering because of everything that she was saying about the prosecution. So it makes me wonder what the hell happened yesterday. But I totally agree with everything that she said. Holy hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with her as well. And I understand why they wanted to bring her in. I still don't completely feel I think that I agree with the judge's decision, but I think that it's really good that we as the public get, exposure to what she's trying to say and what her experience is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to check out what happened yesterday. Let me get rid of all of the layover stuff. Let's check out exactly what happened yesterday that abruptly ended everything. So this is after the prosecution just got done talking, and the judge is going to let everybody know what he thinks about the TikTok witness here.
Well, I'm looking at this really as a
Good morning, Miriam.
First is late disclosure of the witness, and I'm not, and that goes into a whole different analysis, and also analysis under Rule 403, which is relating to relevant evidence. And as that proposed rule says, evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, or misleading the jury, or by considerations of, that part doesn't apply. First off, I find this witness credible. I find that, and I appreciate her being willing to offer the information that she has, but that's not always the whole finding on this. And so under cases such as Taylor versus Illinois, Commonwealth versus Dunning, Commonwealth versus Steinmeier, a couple other cases, I have to look at a number of factors. The first is prevention of surprise. Well, the Commonwealth has been aware of this issue for at least a week or so, so I'm not considering that. Evidence of bad faith, there's no bad faith I see from either side in naming this or calling this person at this time. There's the prejudice to the other party. I think there's just limited prejudice, if any, to the Commonwealth. However, though, the final two are the issues that I think are more relevant in this. One is the materiality of the testimony. in this. And I find that there's limited materiality, it's hard to say, because mainly this witness hadn't worked there for a year. So there's at least a gap between when she worked there and when the relevant time period is here. There's also, I imagine, different personnel that are working on different shifts. And so there's kind of limited value to that testimony. I also, I don't remember any 5-star type inferences. In fact, so I'm not going to, that's going to be measured by the jury, but I didn't see any mentions that this was a 5-star facility. And then also the concern is, or the factor is, the effectiveness of less severe sanctions. And I would find that the records that have been brought in pursuant to the subpoena in the last couple of days from McLean's talks about the staffing levels on holidays and not on holidays. So if there's a question of whether or not there was a quote unquote skeleton crew that was on for those, at least the first 2 days of this time that Ms. Clancy was there, that's reflected in the records. There also in the records here is a list of whatever programs were offered and also when they were offered. So if there's a question of less programs being offered on a holiday than during the week, those are contained in the records. And so I'm going to deny the defendant's motion to call this witness, but I am going to allow the defendant, if the defendant wishes, to submit those McLean's records specifically regarding the staffing and the programs that are available, not just on that weekend, but for the week. And I think there's records in there for the week before. So there can be a comparison between what was available to Ms. Clancy during the week and what was available to her on a holiday weekend. So that's going to be my finding. I'll issue a written ruling on this, but I just kind of wanted to give the parties at least some idea, as well as the witness who's been here, I know, a couple of days. I just kind of wanted to thank her for that. So with that, we'll be in recess till 2:15. We'll come back and resume the trial.
All right.
Okay.
So nothing alarming.
All eyes. I know it's a technicality. Nobody objection.
Duly noted. Thank you.
Okay, so he said no more objections. Nothing alarming. Okay, so he said no more objections. Nothing alarming. So now we're going to go back to...
All right.
All right, back to this. This is where it all went down.
All right, counsel.
I would ask if we could proceed.
All right, sure.
Okay, so they do a side. He's laughing. Now something just happened because he was just laughing. Nothing was a problem. Now something happened. Okay, right here. Did the prosecution do something? Why would this lady look at the way that she look at the way that she watch her hand. Okay, they're not very happy. She's not happy. You can see it in her face. She's looking down. Not happy. You can tell from her mouth. Not happy. Look of concern. Okay, Reddington is not upset. He's not twitching his fingers like he normally does. Normally, if he's upset or agitated, his fingers go like this. He's calm. She's still looking down. That means lack of confidence. Lack of confidence. And then she Yeah, I don't know, Rosie. I'm thinking something happened with the prosecution side. Just looking at this right here, this is a perfect photo. Perfect
Yeah.
photo. Something happened on the prosecution side, I'm thinking. Because if it wasn't them, they would be all cocky, okay? They would be all cocky, smiling, in a good mood, looking straight up, looking straight ahead, not looking down, ashamed, lack of confidence. Yeah, something happened on the prosecution side. Something happened on the prosecution side. What do you guys think? Let me know in chat. We're still waiting for the hearing to start for day 17. Thank you for being tardy, court, because I wanted to make sure we got to the suit. Look at how she's moving her fingers and stuff.
Yeah.
Something happened on the prosecution side. That's why Reddington wanted to talk to the judge real quick. Hold on 1 second. All right, sidebar. Reddington brought up something to the judge. They already had the hot mic moment a week ago. They keep looking down. Something happened on the prosecution. What could it be?
All rise, please. You're entering.
And you know, somebody reached out to Kevin Reddington yesterday. Somebody reached out to Kevin Reddington yesterday and asked him if he thought the trial was going to end in a mistrial. And he said no.
I saw that.
Right? Good morning, Sarah.
He said that he didn't push for one,
Right.
which was also an interesting way to put it.
Right. So it's not him. It's not something from the defense. I'm thinking after going through this again, I really think something happened on the prosecution side. They did something they weren't supposed to. Again, right? Again. That's what happens when you let emotions make your decisions. You fuck up. And these two prosecutors do not control their emotions. You can see it in the trial. They're questioning all of that. Presenting of evidence, slamming shit down on tables. The little snide comments that they make. I'm asking the questions. Can I sit down first? Like,
right?
They let emotions. All right,
And
let's
ego.
get to the yeah. Ego, yes, tons of it. Good point, Rosie. Good point. Hopefully we find out today. Should be starting any moment. We'll go live as soon as
Court is back in session.
they
You may
come
be
up.
seated.
Your Honor, I purpose for that they will return back to trial criminal versus Lindsay Clancy, obviously as important including the 18-year-olds.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for your patience. And I'm going to ask you for some more patience. All right. Due to an unforeseen circumstance, we're going to excuse you until tomorrow morning. All right. This is not something we saw coming, but you're not to speculate about what it is. You're not to hold it against either side. It's just something that we have to deal with. All right. And so I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow morning. I'm going to remind you, as I have every night for the last number of weeks.
Oh,
Don't do any research about this case. Don't talk about it.
I
Don't
know
read
what it
anything.
is.
Don't watch anything about this case or similar cases. And with
I know
that,
what it
we'll
is.
bring you back here. We will deal what we have to deal with, and we'll get right back on track. We are still well within the timeline that I gave you regarding this case, but it's just something we can't control. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow with my thanks for your patience, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right, thank you.
All
I
right.
know what it is.
Tell us.
Okay, I know what it is. I know what it
Yeah.
is. I know what it is. I know what it is. Okay. So you know how yesterday, maybe nobody caught it because it was during a testimony, but it was towards the last third of the show yesterday, and I made the comment because it was into their questioning. I think it was the prosecutor's questioning. Maybe it was in the beginning of the show where they were talking to Dr. Zizel. And I was talking about, damn, they just like, what's with all the pettiness, all, and I was like, they just need to go on a date or go get a drink or something, geez, do something, like get the attitude out of you, right?
Right.
And I was like, I wonder, like I was talking about their emotions and how you can tell that their emotions are kind of like leading their questioning, how they choose to do things, the things that they're saying. And I was like, man, can you imagine what these two talk about on the phone when the trial's over? Can you imagine the stuff that they probably say about their coworkers, the stuff that they say about the jury members, the stuff that they say about other people? Wouldn't it be crazy if there was a recording how these two were talking about other people? Because you just get that vibe like, damn, if this is how you are in real life, I can imagine what you're like behind the scenes when nobody's watching. Okay. That's why I'm like, I wonder, think about it, hot mic moment, not that they said anything in the trial, but as they're outside of the courtroom, walking away, talking to each other, maybe somebody picked up a microphone and wanted to get a little recording and give it to the defense, and the defense has a recording of the prosecutors talking about how stupid the jury is.
I mean, that would definitely cause an abrupt ending. I think.
That's what I think it is. I think there was a recording or something to the effect where the prosecution was caught saying some shit that they shouldn't have been saying because they let emotions control their decisions, and emotions will control the decision whether you should say something in public or not, or say it on the telephone at your own home. I bet you they got caught talking shit about somebody on the jury. Oh, there's no way they're smart enough to figure that out. Something like that. I'm wondering. All right, so we are here, day 17. Hopefully, we find out what the hell happened, how it abruptly ended. Let me know in chat what you think took place now that we went through it again. What do you think, Rosie? I mean, what do you think? What do you?
I mean, I feel like it's. I agree with you. Just their body language. It is something likely to do with them. I'm thinking less to do with the TikTok lady now.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
I I'm not sure at all. But it's
Because
feel
the
like-
judge said don't hold it against either side. That's what changed it from TikTok to, oh, somebody did something for sure on the prosecution side. That's what changed it for me when the judge said,
yeah.
don't hold it against either side.
Yeah, and Reddington's comments as well when being asked about that are kind of interesting too. So Yeah, there's something I think between them.
Yep. They got caught saying some shit they shouldn't have been, probably walking out of the courtroom. And somebody was like, dude, because you already got caught being a shitbag in court, right? You already got caught being a shitbag in court. Shut her up, right? You already got caught being a shitbag in court because there was a live mic in court. If you couldn't control your freaking mouth in court, then you're going to be like, well, I'm just going to make sure I don't say nothing in the courtroom this time. If you're that bold to say
Right.
it in the courtroom in the first place, you are that bold to say it as soon as you walk out that door because you don't think a microphone's picking your voice up. I guarantee it. I guarantee prosecution said some shit, some diarrhea of the mouth. Where's that sound at? Right here. Diarrhea of the mouth. They got busted.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them for sure. Like and also like the way that they grin and snigger at Reddington himself is just they're
Yeah.
very inappropriate. I mean, it would be so bad if that's what brought everything to a halt yesterday, is that they just can't for the life of them be professional, right? Like, imagine if
No,
it
they
was that.
can't. They can't. That's why it was so alarming to me. I'm like, damn, one of them's been doing it for 20 years. Another one's been doing it for 23 or no. No, one of them was, let me see here. Hold on. One was
forgot to-
23 years. One was 23 years and the other one was 15.
Yeah, something like that.
The
What
one with the
screens
bow
maybe?
in her hair was 15. I get their names mixed up. Ashley and Shanna.
I think it's Jennifer
Ashley.
and Shannon.
Oh, is it Jen? Yeah, Jennifer.
Jennifer Sprague,
Jennifer.
Shannon Buckingham. But the
Yeah.
problem for me is that, to me, they look so alike. I can't tell who's who. Like, to me, they look like sisters. I don't think they are, but they look so similar.
Miserable souls, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
I
so
s-
excited. I've been waiting all night for today, Rosie. and I think it's wrapping up too, you guys. I can't wait
Yeah.
to see what happens. I need to come up with a poll here too. Will see, this is what I'm having a hard time with the poll this morning because usually I'm like, will this trial end in a hung jury? Will Lindsay Clancy be found criminally responsible? Blah, 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 blah. I'm having a little bit of a problem because now it's like, do you think the trial will end in mistrial, hung jury, innocent, guilty by insanity, guilty criminal? Like, there's so many different freaking options now.
Well, how about asking, do you think that there will be a definitive verdict, mistrial, or hung jury?
You want to make the poll?
No. No.
Definitive. You're so much more elegant
As soon as
with
I
words
said that,
than
I
me,
knew
Rosie.
I was like, oh no, I shouldn't. I'm gonna get
Definitive.
made fun of now.
Definitively.
No.
Exponentially.
No, I've
Oh,
never said that. I've
Damn,
never
I only
said
got so much room in this poll question. We got to use
sorry.
short words here. Short
I'm
words.
sorry.
Oh, thank you, Christina. I appreciate it very much. We are her favorite. Thank you for her coverage. Thank you for
Thank
being here.
you.
Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So
We
thank
wouldn't.
you.
I sent you a really quick video of what's going on
Yeah.
outside. I don't know. I think it's like a minute or something if you did
Silent
want to.
rally. That
Yeah.
silent rally. Okay. Yeah. Since we're sitting here waiting, which one? I got two of them.
The one that I sent later is the more recent one. So I think that the second one that I sent.
All right. Hold on. Where did it go? The dozens gather. All right. Let's check this out real quick.
At 7:33, we are expecting a large rally right now outside the courthouse in Plymouth. People will be gathering there and around the country to show support for Lindsay Clancy.
Oh, damn. I wish we could have made a trip up there to go support, report live on location with my media mic.
It all comes after jurors heard from one of the key witnesses for the defense, a forensic psychologist. NBC 10's Manash Kwangwari joins us from Plymouth. Manash, have people really started to gather there?
Well, we mentioned we were expecting to see a significant amount of people, but you take a look at how many people have gathered here so far. I mean, this is more than 100 people here outside of the courthouse. And again, I've been here almost every single day of court. This is the first time we've seen this type of showing of support. You can see just how many people dressed in pink, hand in hand, united, all in support of Lindsay Clancy. They have to stay behind this yellow flag here, and really, they're only here just to show support. None of these people are going to be inside the courtroom. This just to show all of the support that Lindsay Clancy has. And of course, this comes after what was a tense day inside the courtroom. We heard from a forensic psychologist who, aside from the doctors that prescribed Lindsay Clancy medication, I mean, this might have been one of the most important witnesses because, well, he heard Lindsay Clancy say that a voice came into her head, forcing her to commit the acts. Lindsay strangled her 3 children to death before attempting to kill herself. She says she did it because of a postpartum psychosis episode due to being over-medicated. Therefore, she is not responsible. Well, during that episode of psychosis, Lindsay said that voice came into her head and told her to do it. She told that to her husband, Patrick, in the days after the killings over the phone. Well, that was the first and last time she says she heard that voice. But there was something else about that conversation that stuck out to the prosecution.
Did she ask about the kids?
She did not, as I recall.
And here's the thing about this rally. This is one of many that are expected all across the country. In fact, we even saw a flyer of a rally happening in the Netherlands. A lot of these people don't even live here in Plymouth. We actually spoke to one person who drove an hour, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. This is just an indication of how much support Lindsay Clancy has. For right now, though, we're live here in Plymouth. Manash Kwangwari, NBC 10 Boston.
And if you...
Damn, that would have been like a... God, I don't even know. Probably a 14-hour trip for me. That's a long trip. But if we could have been able to be there, we would have for sure. I would have loved to be there and show support. And I do have some pink EvilleCJ gear we could have wore too. Could have been all pinked out.
I'm not on camera, but I just want everyone to know that I am in pink, actually.
Yeah, she does have a... You do have a EvilleCJ hoodie. Pink hoodie.
That's true.
Yeah. One day we'll have some merch back up for you guys. If you guys want to, the new merch I'm going to have is the EvilleCJ Media Reporter Polo. I can't wait to show you guys that. All right. So that was pretty neat that they got that rally out there for support. That was this morning, huh? Yeah. Is this the same video? Let me play this one.
No, so that one, that one was from before, but I don't know if as many people had arrived yet. So I think it was like an hour before. So that's why I was saying the second one was more updated.
Yeah, let's check this one out too. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you all for being here too. Please hit the like, subscribe if you haven't.
Lindsay Clancy murder trial picks back up today. The defense expected to call more medical experts to testify about her condition, this before she killed her children.
This is all happening as community members are expected to show their support for the Duxbury mother later on this morning. NBC 10's Manash Kwangwari live outside of Plymouth.
I'm sorry. Has anybody seen Zoolander? Let me know if you've seen Zoolander. This freaking TV anchor, just look at how he moves. He's like,
I haven't seen it, so I don't know what's going on.
watch it. Like it's some fashion model intro or something. Watch this. Watch this. He's got like the fish lips and he's doing all the little poses and shit. Just watch. Just watch.
The Lindsay Clancy murder trial picks back up today.
Watch it.
The defense expected to call more medical experts to testify about her condition. This before she killed her children.
This is all happening as community members are expected to show their support for the Duxbury mother later on this morning. NBC 10's Manoj Pongwari live outside of Plymouth Superior Court now. Manoj.
What the hell?
It's a gathering, but there's no rallying, there's no protesting, and there's no signs. That is actually the name of the event, and you can already see it starting to take shape. Take a look at just a few people that have showed up already, and keep in mind, this is 6 in the morning. They're all expected to come stand hand in hand.
Oh, so this was the. Oh, I played the wrong one, Rosie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got him flip flopped. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
this
okay.
was.
This was first.
Oh. Right in time. We always get it right in time. I love it.
We do.
Yes, please.
Now, for today, we have the matter of Cromwell versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. And Cromwell is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shane Montgomery.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Clancy. All right. Before we get going, can I see counsel at sidebar?
We know this every time. We know this. Wow, they're showing the. I'm surprised they're showing the courtroom.
That's looks pretty
That's
packed.
weird. So now you can see a perfect picture of everybody in the courtroom. That's kind of weird.
You can also
Normally
see
they-
a perfect picture of the ceiling. There you go. If you wanted to know
Normally
what
they
the
don't.
ceiling looked like.
Normally they're not going to show everybody that attended court that day. I wonder if they know that. Because normally it's just the front row of something, but not
Yeah,
the whole
but
court.
this cameraman he can be sneaky, whoever he is. Sometimes I've seen him focus on the prosecution just for a moment to be like, or just focus on Reddington and it's like, thank you. That's actually what we wanted to see. Just that facial expression. Thank you.
It's better than court TV when the first trials of Idaho 4, like the first ones with Judge, when he was presiding. At least it's better than, court TV just being zoomed in on the frickin' defendant the whole time. It's like we want to see the people talking. we know what the person looks like that is trying to defend themselves.
Yeah, it's a little bit obsessed.
Yeah, it's like the only time I really it affected or upset me a little bit was when Lindsay was day 14, 15, something like that. Lindsay was just bawling out. Remember when she was like, I can't do this no more, and they just totally, it was when everything was quiet, everything was silent, and she was just bawling out, and they just zoomed in and just sat there, and I'm like, my God, have some decency. I mean, it's at least zoom it back so you have the whole courtroom, not just zoomed in on her like it was some clickable moment or something. It was just kind of messed up. But I think they've done it's nice, we got the seal for when there's a break, so we kind of visually know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then they do their little jiggle on the camera, so you get a little, they're coming in about a minute. Probably somebody grabbing the handle, getting ready to
Probably. It's probably something or doing a quick lens focus, Yeah.
But it's been pretty good. Zooming in on what needs zoomed in on, stuff like that. Pretty good. So, let me see here. Unforeseen. The judge said, unforeseen. Didn't see it coming. Don't hold it against either side. Unforeseen. Didn't see it coming.
He also said he didn't want the jury to speculate on what it might be, which is not what you say when you want people to not speculate on what it might be.
Yeah, don't listen to people. What are you supposed to do? You know, like, how are you not supposed to speculate it? You come back in, you're a jury member, you sit down. Look, you guys, something unforeseen, didn't see it coming. You don't think they're going to discuss, I wonder what it could be. I wonder what it could be. You're naturally going to speculate. By the way, if you're enjoying the live stream, help us reach more people. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, comment, and share this out to your socials and friends. We appreciate you very much. I'm going to speculate too. I can't help it.
No, you're supposed to not think about it, not talk about it. Not. I forgot the whole speech, and then you have to have
don't
one.
talk about it. Don't think about it. Don't
Yeah,
search
you can do
about
it.
it. Don't do nothing about it. Don't even talk about it. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Hey, it's just free-flowing conversation as we're sitting here waiting. Oh, yeah, what was that word that I made up a couple months ago? Allegedly and speculation. Alleged. What was it?
Allegulation.
Allegulation?
Yeah, something was an allegulation.
Allegulation.
Yes.
Allegedly speculation. Allegulation. That's what it is. Allegulation.
The judge is going to add that. Do not allegulate about it. He needs to add that in at the end.
Don't allegulation about it. About it. That Boston accent is heavy in this trial, no? But yeah, how could you think that they're not gonna speculate? Yeah, right, Lindsay. Don't dream about it. Don't dream about it. Nothing. So unforeseen and didn't see it coming.
Through no fault of anyone at all.
What could that be? I'm not so sure its prosecution got picked up saying some shitty shit about a jury member. Unforeseen, didn't see it coming, don't hold it against either side. Did the TikTok lady do something? Did she do something when she left the court? What the heck? What could it be? There's so many possibilities. Hopefully we find out this morning. We might not even find out. They might just roll on and continue.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible. We have to be prepared for that too.
They could just roll on. It's day 17. We'll see what happens. It'll definitely come out. It'll come out after the trial's over if it don't come out today. But do you think closing arguments are going to be today? I think they are.
I think so.
Or the defense. I guess the better question is, will the defense... That's the poll question. Hold on. Let me put up a poll real quick. Will defense rest today? There we go. Type 1 in chat for yes. Not yet. I got to put it up here first. I got to type all this out. All right, there we go. Will defense rest today? Will defense rest today? Type 1 in chat for yes. Type 2 in chat for no. Type 3 in chat for undecided. I'm going to cast my vote. I'm going to type in 1. Nice. It's back to updating every second instead of it updating when I hit a button. Man, that was driving me nuts yesterday because I like seeing the real-time votes. See, look at that. We're already doop, doop, doop. Come on and vote. Will defense rest today? Type 1 in chat for yes. Type 2 in chat for no. Type 3 in chat for undecided. No matter what platform you're on, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, your vote will count with the StreamYard poll. That's why I like to use the StreamYard polls, because with YouTube, only the specific YouTube chat will get the poll, not all the different platforms. And I think it's important that all the different platforms get to be able to vote on the same damn poll, so then you can actually see the real results and not just from one platform. So no matter what platform you are on, you can vote.
Well, it looks pretty much like a lot of people are saying one. So that's
We need some more votes. Come on, people,
now.
vote.
No, I know we do, but so far so good for one.
Let's see what you think. I think they're going to.
I do too.
I thought they were going to after, because once the prosecution started rebuttal with Dr. Ziesel, to me, that's where it was like, because look at all of us, like during that rebuttal, we're all like, oh my God, like the questions, and we're potential jury members too. So you take that collective pool and you're like, damn, I bet you that jury is getting just as tired of hearing the dumb shit as we are. That's when I felt, because like after you had the defense bring Dr. Ziesel as a witness, you had to be like, damn, right? But to be fair, in that juror's seat, you needed to have your ears still open for the prosecution. You got to give them a chance, right? So they still had the jurors' ears, even though in their mind, insanity defense was solidified to me. So after they heard the prosecution's rebuttal and they got to the point that we all got to, like, oh my God, this is an extra hour of questions that just doesn't have anything to do with really what we're here for. That's when they would sit back as a jury and go, okay, well, the defense definitely, think about it like a prize fight, a boxing match. Damn, the defense really came out in this round and landed some really good punches, but we didn't really see much, if anything, from the other side. And I think that's when they were like, you know what? Like, you saw the shittiness of souls of these people on display. You know the jury had to see it too, and you're sitting there going, that was such a lame attempt from the prosecution to try and defend what you're going after. That was such a lame attempt with that witness, because that was their time to shine too. You know, they got hit with a couple good punches that made the crowd go, whoa. It was their turn to come back and get a couple more before the bell rang at the end of the round yesterday, and they just didn't even try and swing. It was just more of walking around, you know? So, yeah, I think it's, I'm sure there was a lot more witnesses for Reddington to bring up, but I just, like I said yesterday, I don't think he's, I think those other witnesses are like, you know what? They were there if I needed them.
Yeah. And I saw his list. There were, I mean, it was about, I think it was like 3, maybe 4 pages of names. But I mean, it would be completely unnecessary.
Let me see something here. This is a long sidebar here.
Yeah, this is
yesterday's shit. Yesterday we had a sidebar until almost 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure we would all just love to know what they're discussing.
Let's see. Trying to think. Let's check out this video here real quick. Again, we're going to go right to the trial as soon as it goes live. Or they're back. Let me put this up here, waiting for court to resume. And let me switch the poll to the top right, and we'll cover my face. All right, there we go. So we're going to check out this video here in the meantime. Again, will the defense rest today? Type 1 in chat for yes, type 2 in chat for no, type 3 in chat for undecided, and where's the video I just had ready? All right, this is Cuomo crime time. Lindsay Clancy, the most disturbing argument in this entire trial. Whoa. Okay, it's being wonky here. Okay, come on. Come on. What are we doing here? Come on, what are we doing here?
Well, she tried to kill herself too. So it wasn't, I killed my kids because I was getting divorced. I killed my kids because I wanted a different life, you know, whatever it is.
Well, Chris, the prosecution's saying that's consciousness of guilt. That's the way that they're spinning the suicide attempt.
Right after?
Right after.
No, but I'm saying that's the part. I think they're going to have a hard time arguing that. But let's talk about clinically why. Right. And this is the uncomfortable space, Doc, where in my world, if you go to the store and seem normal, you can't be abnormal an hour later. That doesn't work like that. That's choice. That's behavior.
That is
what are we missing?
You're missing mental illness doesn't function that way. That the waxing and waning quality of a psychotic person can mean that certain things are within normal limits and others aren't. So I wouldn't say it, you know, Sarah, not to contradict so much as to say, she may have had a normal appearing day, but we have no idea what was going on in her head, what demons she was actively fighting. I don't know, but those cases that I have treated, and I've treated a lot of patients with postpartum psychoses, they drop their kids off at school. They go do all kinds of things that look normal. So I get why it's super confusing to feel like, wow, if she could do this, how could she do that? But if you have a belief in your mind that it needs to be this way, and you are being told that, or there is this I don't know, scotoma, what's the word? Sort of this something in your brain that's very circumscribed, telling you that it is this way and they must die and I'm going to die with them. None of us can exist because God knows what. I don't know what the voices or delusions were about, but that can be existing within a seemingly normal system.
Why doesn't reason take us inside the explanation of illness? When I have a thought in my head to do something bad, I go, oh, no, don't do that. That's bad. You don't do that. Don't say that. Don't be that. So what happens when someone has what is a voice in your head? And how is it that someone can't distinguish doing the bad thing from the good thing in that moment?
Well, there's a line. And sometimes this is sort of an old way to put it. There's like neurotic and psychotic. And there's that line that you don't want to go over into non-reality. Right? You're describing, you know, sort of the old fashioned, you get it. You're freaked out by it. The thought that could happen. You're like, oh my God, I would never, but I had a thought. We've all had fleeting, wildly, you know, horrible thoughts. But when you can't discern that, when your insight is limited, poor, or non-existent, and your judgment is also, like you have judgment, you still had judgment and insight to know it was wrong. You lose that over the line to psychosis. You do not have that. You live in a different land and you don't have that kind of reasoning or capacity. It's not there.
Right. So Sarah, the opening statement in a case like this, why isn't it as not easy, but as simple as no mother strangles their 3 kids and then jumps out the window to kill themselves? Nobody does that. A selfish person doesn't do that. An evil person doesn't do that. Nobody does that. The only person that does that is somebody who's not in control of what they're doing. And that's obviously what this is. And I'm going to show it to you 10 different ways. But the idea that she intended to kill her kids is not what was going on inside her head, and I can take you there. Or is that all well and good, Sarah, but at the end of the day, yeah, she did mean to kill her kids. Why she meant to kill her kids is everything the doctor just said, and that's great, but it all goes to sentencing. She meant to kill her kids, and then she killed them. End of the story.
So that is the opening statement. Good job. But also for the defense, but also, of course, the mental illness is, you're talking about mental illness as mitigation. This is not guilty by reason of insanity. It's a whole different ball of wax, because it's that, like the doctor said, you did not know what you were doing. You were not operating in reality at the time. And to her point, there's evidence that the prosecution is introducing, which is like her journal. And in that journal is where those other thoughts are written, apparently, things that she thought of her kids. But then when you contrast that with the earlier that day, where she takes one of the kids to the pediatrician, she's being a responsible mother.
So for Dummies' version of this, Sarah, that if the evidence shows she strangled her 3 kids because she thought she was releasing demons, that she thought it was why they had croup, then not guilty by reason of insanity. But if she had voices in her head telling her that this had to happen or else everybody in her family was going to die, so you have to release your kids from this world, and that's why she did it, guilty.
Right. And that all turns on the expert testimony. And that's why Dr. Spinelli is the star witness for the defense.
But then she can't win, though, Sarah. How does she win if Dr. Spinelli and Dr. Berndorf sit next to each other and one is nodding when the other one says whatever they say and they're in complete agreement, and they say, yeah, look, I mean, the voices in the head, psychotic break in and out, and waxing and waning, and she absolutely thought that this was it, and it was a break from reality. And the jury said, "Oh, I believe all that." Still guilty.
No, Chris. Beyond a reasonable doubt, this prosecution has to prove that she was sane. I mean, you can't ignore, her deterioration, what her husband's going to testify about.
Sane is that she knew putting the band around the neck and pulling would kill the kid. That's sane in this context. Sane is, what did you think you were doing with this band? I thought I was killing them. Why? Here's my reason. Okay, but you knew that this was killing them, right? Yes.
Well, I mean, you're being the prosecutor. I mean, the prosecutor is also going to say that she had plenty of opportunity to stop, because strangulating kids with or anyone with takes time to unconsciousness, takes time to death. And so she could have stopped, but she did it, right? But again, I think, we can't forget about the emotional and moral spine of the defense, which is the husband, who is going to talk about how much she loved these kids, that she couldn't have done this knowingly, that she had to have been out of her mind to do this. Listen, I think one of the bigger questions here is, okay, so she's acquitted by LCR. She just walks out of the courtroom? No. She may never see the light of day, because she's going to be in an institution, because every year she's going to be in this adversarial process where they're going to petition her to stay in year after year after year. So, it's better than prison or jail. I don't want to say it's the same thing, because she gets treatment. She will not get treatment in prison. She'll deteriorate. But at the end of the day, it's not like, a not guilty verdict where the defendant walks out with their lawyer. This is not what's happening here. So the question is the destination. What is the right destination for her?
Summer's here. If you want to actually feel confident, less bloated.
My opinion is that she did have indeed a mental disease or defect. She had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
Lindsay Clancy, psychologist there, testifying yesterday. She is not criminally responsible for the murders of her 3 children. a woman from Massachusetts, has admitted to killing them, but her attorneys say Clancy was over-medicated and suffering from postpartum psychosis. A trial continues later this morning. The judge actually dismissed jurors earlier than planned yesterday due to what he called an unforeseen circumstance. CBS News legal contributor Rebecca Royfe is following this case closely and joins us now to, I guess, make sense of it all. Good morning, Rebecca. What did you make of the testimony from Lindsay Clancy's psychologist? Really, the nation has been transfixed by this story, and we all wonder what the proper outcome should be. So what did you make from what Dr. Zeisel said?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. So I think that this was the most important testimony for the defense here because the psychiatrist testified to this ultimate issue. The government in this case bears the burden of showing that she acted not only in a premeditated way, but also with criminal responsibility. And here we have a psychiatrist directly testifying to that ultimate legal issue, saying that she did not. She had a mental disease or defect. She had that bipolar disorder and psychosis that made it such that she could not appreciate right and wrong, and that she couldn't conform her conduct to the law. And that, if the jury believes it, establishes that she lacked that criminal responsibility and would undermine the prosecution's case.
Now, in the end, Lindsay Clancy will either go to prison, to jail, or she will go to a psychiatric ward. On cross-examination, Dr. Zeisel said Clancy had intrusive thoughts, but she did not specifically tell him that she heard a voice telling her to kill herself. Can you explain why that might matter to the prosecution? What difference that could make?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the strongest evidence that she lacked criminal responsibility. I mean, if she's hearing a command hallucination, essentially a voice telling her she has to do that, and the jury believes that, is almost, a sure thing that she doesn't have that control over her actions and ability to conform her conduct to the rule of law. So if the prosecution can undermine that point, then perhaps along with some other facts that they've proved, this could establish criminal responsibility. So essentially what the defense was doing there was saying she didn't have these hallucinations. She only came up with that after the murder.
Now, the defense could potentially rest its case today. Would you recommend Lindsay Clancy take the stand? Is that something that might help her case or perhaps be more problematic?
Yeah, I mean, so, generally it often can create more problems. I think in a case like this, it's interesting because there are arguments both ways. I mean, the ultimate issue is her state of mind. And so obviously the jury is thinking, why isn't she getting up there and telling us what her state of mind is? And so, even though there is absolutely no burden and she has the right not to take the stand and the jury will be instructed in that way, there's some pressure for her to take the stand in this moment. That said, I think the risk is far higher because under these circumstances, the prosecution has the opportunity to cross-examine her about every last fact. And if they find some inconsistency, it looks like she's not telling the truth, or in any way make her look like she is, somehow lying about this or had a more organized way of thinking at that time, that's an opportunity for the prosecution. I think at this point, the defense has done a very good job of undermining the prosecution's case and probably will opt not to put her on the stand.
A heartbreaking.
Court ended earlier than expected today in the trial that everyone is talking about, the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy, the Massachusetts mom accused of killing her 3 children back in January of 2023. The circumstance was apparently unforeseen.
Thank you for joining. Please hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. We are just waiting for court to resume from the morning sidebar. And we are checking out some of these clips in the meantime. And once they go back to the hearing from the sidebar, we will take you right back to it, even in mid-video. Thank you all for being here. Good morning. We do have a poll up, by the way. Will the defense rest today? Type 1 in chat for yes, type 2 in chat for no, type 3 in chat for undecided. Let us know what you think.
Judge didn't explain why, told jurors not to speculate, not to hold it against either side. But before that happened, something substantive happened. Defense psychologist Dr. Paul Zeisel took the stand again today. And he testified that Clancy didn't appreciate the, quote, wrongfulness of her alleged crimes due to severe postpartum psychosis and mental illness. That is a key legal definition of insanity. Here's that.
My opinion is that she did have indeed a mental disease or a defect. That's a legal construct, not a DSM-5 one, but she had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
The doctor went on to say that Clancy has been struggling for weeks, reporting suicidal thoughts, paranoia, voices in her head. Prosecutors, though, they pushed back. They challenged that testimony, saying Clancy's medical records didn't specifically mention voices telling her to kill her children, that she had the presence of mind to send her husband out of the house before killing her children. They also called Dr. Zeisel's close relationship with the defense attorney, Kevin Reddington, into question. Now, this trial is expected to continue tomorrow, but came out that defense now is expected to call just one more witness before resting its case. Then we may see the prosecution call rebuttal witnesses. If convicted, Clancy faces life in prison without parole. If she's found not criminally responsible because of mental illness, she would be essentially committed to a state psychiatric hospital. Joining me now for a closer look is Dante Mills, a national trial attorney with Mills Legal LLC. Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for taking the time.
Of course.
What's an unforeseen circumstance that would mess the whole day up?
I don't know if it's even worth spending time trying to guess that, because it could really be anything.
Anything
from
substantive?
Somebody had to go to the restroom. Somebody had a doctor's appointment. It truly could be anything. And there's really no way to know that, because from scheduling to everything else, things happen. We're normal people. The judge is a normal person. The lawyers are normal people. The jury, someone on the jury could have sent a note in saying that, they had a doctor's appointment or something happened with their child. You just don't know. I've been on a lot of trials. And I've had everything in a book come up to where we had to end the day short.
I'm going to correct you. Us lawyers, we're not normal people. We're not normal people. Okay. I thought Dr. Zeisel's testimony encapsulates this whole trial. Right? Really great witness for the defense, talking about that she hears voices, that she couldn't conform her behavior to the law. It's essentially what the defense is arguing. But at the same time, there was no other documentation apparently about this. Close relationship with the defense attorney. This idea that if that's even true, it's not just, if she has mental illness, that's only one part of the analysis. Did she make a conscious decision? How important do you think his testimony is? How much did it change the game?
I don't think his testimony changed the game. I think his testimony gave the jury an opportunity to see that narrative and say that she was, in fact, legally insane. We have to remember that mental illness and legal insanity, there's two different things. You're not going to hear many more, there's just one more witness from the defense. It's because the evidence is all the same. All of the evidence has already been put in about the history she had before the murders took place. It's just how you frame it. The prosecution is saying that history was there, but she still knew what she was doing in that moment. The defense is saying that history is there, and that shows she didn't know what she was doing in that moment. All of the facts, they're using the same bucket of facts here. It's just how you want to look at it.
So you're not surprised the defense seems like they're about to wrap things up. They feel like probably have done enough through cross-examination of the prosecution's witnesses and their own.
Yes, they would have brought in the same evidence and facts that the prosecution brought in. They're just telling the jury to look at it a different way. Because if you look at the facts that came in, the appointment she went to, the help she tried to get, the fact the medication she was on, that's proof to you that she was struggling to the point that she was legally insane. And the prosecution's using the same evidence.
Just to play the other card, I would say the strongest evidence for the prosecution is the allegation that she led her husband,
Yes, the planning.
Okay.
All rise.
Thank you all for being here. Please hit the like, subscribe. What the heck? We just got back and now we're doing this again. What the heck is going on? All right, hold on. We'll be right back in a second. Let's finish up what we were watching.
While she killed the kids, exercise bans, very deliberate, 3 separate deaths. It's not as if you put the kids in a car and, have their engine running. It's 3 separate acts. So I think that you can argue that's voluntary, it's deliberate.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your.
So joining me now is News Nation's senior producer and author of Murder in the Media, Allison Weiner. Allison, you're always so great to have on these cases. So what do you make of Lindsay Clancy referring to what happened to her kids as her tragedy? And then also who we just saw testifying saying this, essentially she didn't really know what she's doing wrong. That's what I heard from that.
Yes. I mean, I think that is also he is also a psychologist. He's talking about the law and conforming his answers to within the strictures of the law. In terms of her saying that it was her day of tragedy, I don't see anything strange about that. I mean, I think it was a day of tragedy for her. Her whole life ended on that day. She took the lives of her children. I mean, it's something that will be with her forever and that she will suffer about forever. We've seen evidence of that in court, but we also know from testimony that this was a big lead up to her struggling to try to keep this day from happening. And to me, and I think for everyone who's covering this case or knows anything about the case, it is a horrible tragedy. And it's hard to even look at the legal aspects for a lot of people because it's so emotionally awful.
So the jury was let go early today. Why would that happen in a case like this?
Pause it for a sec.
People are confused about what that might mean.
Sorry, I really wanted to comment on that because I also remembered that phrasing from yesterday, the my tragedy thing. And I was wondering what you thought about that, because with the way that the prosecution put that, I think that there's a big difference between a phrase like my tragedy that comes out of therapy and comes out of the notes of a therapist versus like if Lindsay were writing a book or on social media or telling her friends about her tragedy,
Yeah.
I think that it was taken very out of context, because when you're dealing with your therapist, you're dealing with your experience.
Yeah.
And what's going on with you. And to me, it was just very deliberate of them to pull those words out of there to make her look self-centered. But the words came from therapy. It's not her like texting it to somebody.
Excuse me. No, I totally agree with you. Because, I mean, we've heard from all these medical professionals, not every one case is the same. So you could look at it as your tragedy because it's your story, it's your version, it's your experience, it's really your tragedy. It's not the exact same thing as somebody else's. So to manipulate words, I'm not surprised. We've seen it take place even with their own witnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to highlight that because I feel like had I heard those words in a different context, like if she were talking about her tragedy outside of therapy, I would have found that a little bit weird. I would have been like, oh, this is slightly self-centered, but you can't forget where it came from.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to put that in there at that exact point.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I'm not surprised. I'd be surprised if we didn't see all this other shit that they've done, but it kind of goes with how they are. So you almost have to expect that from them. And they also bring up a great point too about why it could have ended early. A lot of things could be the reason, but it's like we've been asking this whole morning, why would you say don't hold it against either side if neither side did anything, right? So to me, I'm surprised these legal analysts that are on these programs don't bring it up. Like, yeah, it could be that one of the jury members needed to go to the bathroom. Well, not if the judge is saying don't hold it against either side. It really makes me wonder how much these people prepare for these guest spots, because you don't even really talk like you're even paying attention.
Well, I mean, in one of the videos we literally just watched a few minutes ago, they referred to Dr. Zeisel as a psychiatrist and he's a psychologist, and that's
Yeah.
quite different because it came up in testimony that they highlighted the difference. So it means they didn't watch the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I think
It's
it happens a lot.
it's the downfall of mainstream media. They can't even report realistically on the shit that they're brought on to talk about. They're brought on because they're a name and they have a piece of paper hanging up on the wall. Who fucking cares? You need to talk about it like you're paying attention to it. And that's why people are going to come here. The more and more as time goes on, people are going to go to mainstream media less because they have people that don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Like, wouldn't it have been a really informative video if you did have a legal professional, either one of them, the host or the guest, actually bring up the point that needs to be talked about what the judge said? Yeah, somebody could go to the frickin' bathroom or somebody has diarrhea or something. But let's be honest, why would the judge say that if it didn't have anything to do with either side? It would have been a great conversation and a great video and a very informative video to really discuss what truly took place in the courtroom yesterday, not what could have been based off of me not even paying attention to what took place. It just sucks, you know? It just sucks. Because I'm looking for some kind of guidance here, you know?
Yeah, I know.
I want to know. Look at this sidebar. It's already 10:02 a.m. Eastern time, and we're still sitting here waiting for this trial to come back. We're still waiting.
Yep.
All right, we'll finish this up here real quick. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, I know. It looks, because we're all on edge here wondering about is something up? Are they going to argue something? But I think that really was probably related to the fact that the TikTok witness wasn't able to testify and maybe the defense didn't have their next witness ready. I think unforeseen consequences meant something to do with the timing of the trial. And I don't really think it was anything major. That's kind of my sense of what I read from, the judge. I think it's just we're all kind of on edge wondering what's next in this trial, who will get excluded, what evidence will get excluded, what the judge is going to do next. And so I think that was what prompted all the questions about it. But trials end early all the time when witnesses, he conflicted. He said this witness, he didn't conflict. He said this witness couldn't testify, the TikTok woman. And he said it because she did not work at the facility where Lindsay Clancy was staying when she was trying to get mental health help. She wasn't there during the period that Lindsay was there. So she really didn't have material testimony to give or evidence to give in the case. And while I disagree with the judge on some of his and many of his rulings, I think this was appropriate. I also think that when you have a woman who's talking about her testimony on TikTok already, that's problematic too, because that is a income stream. So it's kind of like the old days where people would, in the OJ case, went on hard copy and got paid, and then they weren't able to testify at the trial because there were issues about what they were saying and how, believable it was, although the judge did say that she was credible. But nonetheless, she was credible about a time when Lindsay Clancy wasn't at this hospital.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
All right, so we'll come back here in the meantime as we are waiting for court to resume. Please hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. This is getting a little ridiculous here. The amount of waiting. We came here, we came up twice on the camera, sidebar. Why couldn't we finish it the first sidebar? Why are we sidebarring again? All right, so let's see here. Let's check out some Vinny for a minute as we are waiting for this trial to resume.
Of admitted child killer Lindsay Clancy has absolutely grabbed the attention of the nation. Lindsay pointing the finger at her doctors and nurses for over-medicating and misdiagnosing her mental illness, resulting in her hearing voices in her head.
She had said that she heard a male voice ordering her, telling her that she didn't have any choice, but she had to kill her children and then kill herself.
But prosecutors say her mental illness was not as bad as she claims, and that she planned the killings because she didn't want to be a mother anymore. The Commonwealth is rested, and now the defense is putting on their case, trying to show this jury Lindsay Clancy was suffering from postpartum psychosis.
She had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
Meanwhile, many people watching this trial and commenting on social media have pointed the finger at Lindsay's husband, Patrick. But Lindsay's defense admits that she's the one who killed the children, and they are arguing because of her mental illness, she should not be held criminally responsible. The pace of this trial is picking up, and the defense really laser focused on the issues they want to put in front of this jury, including the evidence of her illness and Lindsay Clancy hearing voices in her head telling her to take the lives of her children. The question is, can the prosecution overcome this type of evidence? I'm Vinnie Politan. Let's investigate. I think most of you know I am a former prosecutor. That's how I see the world. And that's how I initially analyze most cases is, okay, is this a case I could prosecute? This is a tough case. And this is a very tough case. Generally speaking, cases involving legal insanity usually aren't. Usually there's a huge advantage to the prosecution because in most cases, it's a defense of last resort. That's not the case here. That's not what is happening with Lindsay Clancy. I would argue that this is probably the first choice of a defense in this case rather than the last choice of a defense in this case. And one of the reasons is the incredibly well-documented history and recent history that Lindsay Clancy had on this issue of being mentally ill. And one of the things that we've seen are the prescriptions that were written for her. And a lot has been said about the number of prescriptions over the course of just 4 months where she's got her doctor, her nurse practitioner, everyone. I mean, they're evaluating her. And as a result of those evaluations, giving her medicine. Okay. That is proof that there's something wrong. When a doctor gives you medicine or a nurse practitioner gives you medicine, something is wrong with you. And the issues here obviously are all mental. So to me, that is compelling evidence. Whether or not you believe the mental illness caused her to do this, first you have to establish the fact that mental illness exists. And now prosecutors cannot claim that it's being faked. It's real. Like it's actually real. These are treating doctors who are prescribing this medicine. Then on top of that, she also spent time as an inpatient in a hospital for the same issues at McLean. Now, the circumstances under which she left or was no longer there, obviously both sides will debate that. But what cannot be debated, and again, what prosecutors have to overcome here and what makes it a tough case is the fact that she was hospitalized for a mental condition in the weeks just prior to her taking the lives of her 3 children. Most of these cases, they don't have that. Usually it's like, oh, you know, it was sort of undetected and it happened. And a forensic specialist comes in afterwards and tells you what was happening at the time. Now we've got the treating physicians and the folks at the hospital all talking about what was happening at the time. Again, what prosecutors are arguing here is the degree or level of mental illness and what the impact of the mental illness is on her actions. But you're in a place now.
We are finally back. Thank you for being here with us. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. Finally. No more sidebar. Good morning. Hopefully you have your coffee.
All rise, please.
Will the defense rest today? We have a poll up. Type 1 in chat for yes, 2 in chat for no, 3 in chat for undecided. Let us know what you think. I think the defense is going to rest today.
Hey, 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 all persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court, now sitting in Plymouth, therefore the Honorable. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, court is now in session. Please be seated.
Yes.
Before today, we have a continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington. The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Hutton.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you again. I know I just spoke to you probably about 10 minutes ago. But again, I want to ask you those questions, then we'll talk a little bit about what our schedule is today and for the rest of the week. All right, so first question, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial as a juror? Next, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time? All right, again, thank you for following those instructions. And then in regards to our schedule today, you're allowed to kind of roll your eyes because I'm going to say we're going to have kind of a short day today. All right. And that is, as I talked to you yesterday about an issue that has nothing to do with any of the attorneys in this case. All right. It's just something we're going to work out and I anticipate it will be worked out so that tomorrow you should count on a lengthier day. All right. I've talked to counsel earlier this morning in regards to where we are in regards to the schedule and the timeline. We are still, if not on schedule, still ahead of schedule. All right. And this delay that we may have a little bit this afternoon won't affect that. All right. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that I appreciate it. I know you came in here this morning. It's going to be a short day, but also gear up for a longer day tomorrow. Okay. And so with that, the other thing is I told you it's got nothing to do with any of the attorneys, but it's also or the parties. So you're not to speculate about what this might be. It's also you're not to hold it against either of the parties in regards to this. All right. If you're going to hold it against anybody, you can hold it against me. All right. So with that, we're going to return now to the evidence in this case. And Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Sheila Kavanaugh, please.
Good morning. In this case, Madam Clerk, raise your right hand.
The testimony of the evidence you shall give to the court. Sorry, the matter now pending between the Commonwealth and the whole two.
All right. Well, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, I just ask you to speak into that microphone and keep your voice up so the jury can hear you. Attorney Reddington.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you tell us your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is Sheila Kavanaugh, Cavanaughh.
And what town do you live in?
I live in the town of Belmont, Massachusetts.
And what are you doing for work now?
I am a board certified chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston.
And I didn't know that there were board certified chaplains. What does that mean?
Well, to become board certified, you need minimally a master's degree in theology or divinity. You need to complete 1,600 hours of training post your master's degree. 1,200 of those hours are occur in a clinical setting, and 400 of those hours are in a classroom setting where we study various disciplines: psychology, sociology, philosophy, theology, and ethics. Beyond that training, we need to acquire 2,000 hours of additional clinical training before we can even apply for board certification. And we have to demonstrate mastery of 30 competencies before we go to a national board, and they make the assessment. I also need an ecclesiastical endorsement, and in my case, that was from the Archdiocese of Boston, from Cardinal Sean O'Malley.
And before you obtained the board certification in your education to allow you to be a chaplain, what did you do for work?
Prior to becoming a chaplain, which is a second career for me, I was a senior vice president at Fidelity Investments in Boston.
And how long were you senior VP at Fidelity?
16 years.
And are you married?
I am.
You have a family?
I do. My husband and I are the parents of 4 adopted children. When I was pursuing my master's degree at Boston College, it was a 3-year master's, but it took me 5 years because we adopted our 4th child while I was in graduate school. She was a 14-year-old girl from Bogota, Colombia.
And how long have you been working now as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital?
7 years.
In the course of your duties as a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital, did circumstances bring you in contact with Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, they did.
Can you tell the jurors what happened?
I arrived on the morning of Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. I arrived at approximately 8:30 that morning because I was there to relieve the overnight chaplain who was carrying the pager. I was taking over the pager shift, which went from 9 to 1 p.m., although I was working a full day. When I arrived that morning, she said to me, "Did you hear the news?" And
so
sustain.
Okay.
So you can't, you got to object, so you can't say what someone told you, okay? That's what hearsay?
Okay.
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 So I can say, as a result of the conversation with that person, what happened?
I was summoned to the director of spiritual care's office.
Did you have a conversation with her?
I did.
All right. And as a result of that conversation, what did you do?
I went to Unit 8C in the Tower building of Brigham to meet with Lindsay Clancy.
And what time of day was this?
Roughly between 8:30 and 9:30 that morning.
And when you went in to see Lindsay, what did you observe?
Well, the unit itself was filled with law enforcement officers, both outside the doors of the unit. There was Brigham security, but the unit itself was flooded. There were people from Plymouth County, Boston City Police, Brigham Security. So I had to make my way through concentric circles of law enforcement to even get to the room. I was permitted to see Lindsay, although she could not speak at that time.
And what was her condition that you observed?
She was dressed in medical armor. She had tubes. She was intubated. She had bandages. She had a neck brace. She was just covered and layered in equipment that enabled her to breathe.
Now, I'm showing you Exhibit 121 and asking, this may be South Shore, it could be Brigham and Women's, but is this indicative of what she appeared to be when you first saw her?
That looks like it's from South Shore because when,
Sure?
yes,
Does she have the same?
similar,
Very similar?
very similar.
Like that?
Yes, very similar.
Did you see her again on another date?
I did. I saw her the next day. Again, she could not speak. She was intubated as well. That was the first week that she was hospitalized.
When was the next time that you saw her?
The next time I saw her was the following week. I have a calendar here of my visits. I saw her on Tuesday, January 31st, and she had been extubated at that point so she could speak.
So the tube had been removed. She was able to communicate, and that was on January 31st?
I believe she was extubated the weekend of the 28th, but I didn't work that weekend, so I saw her on Tuesday, the 31st.
All right. Tell the jurors what you observed and what, if any, conversation you had with Lindsay on the 31st. And let me ask you, how long had it been that they removed the tube?
Perhaps a day or two.
A day or two, okay. Tell the jurors what she said to you.
She continued to look like the photograph you just saw. She was covered, tubes everywhere, the neck brace. Her emotional state was very neutral, a flat affect. But I remember vividly the first thing she said to me. Now, she had heard me for a couple of days. We had been praying together. And so when I went in on Tuesday, the 31st, she said to me as I held her hand to comfort her, "I am so glad my children are safe."
Was there any other conversation that you had with her?
I replied theologically to Lindsay, and I said, "Lindsay, your children are safe. They're safe in heaven with God." And I held her hand throughout that conversation, and we prayed for them.
Did she make any other statements to you?
She did. She alluded to having heard a voice, and the voice, according to Lindsay, told her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe.
And did she indicate whether it was a male voice, a female voice, loud, soft?
She alluded to the fact that it was a male voice and it was persistent.
Any further conversation that you recall about that, not about general things, you know?
That came up several times. I visited Lindsay minimally 14 times while she was hospitalized at the Brigham, and the voice conversation came up several times during several of our visits.
Now, after Lindsay was transferred or cleared to go from Brigham and Women's Hospital, did she go to another facility?
She did. She went to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital.
And do you know when that was?
That was roughly late February, perhaps around the 23rd.
And did you continue to see Lindsay at Spalding Rehab?
I did.
You know when she left Spalding Rehab?
In the late March, early April time frame, perhaps.
Okay. Now, Brigham and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the same umbrella of hospitals. Is that right?
They
Thank
are.
you for being
Brigham
here.
and Women's Hospital and Spalding Rehab are under the Mass General Brigham complex. So for me to visit Lindsay in Spalding, I was still within the same hospital complex, and her psychiatrist at Spalding, as well as the chaplains, advised me to continue.
You can't say what anybody told you.
Oh,
So when she was discharged from Spalding Rehab, where did she go?
She went to Tewksbury State Hospital.
And fair to say that that would be back around February. It's been a little more than 3 years, 3.5 years.
Yes.
Is that correct? Now, when you saw her in Spalding Rehab and in Brigham and Women's, you were acting in the course of your job. Is that right?
That's correct.
You're being compensated, you're getting your paycheck and that type of thing.
Yes.
How many times have you seen Lindsay at Tewksbury Hospital?
Perhaps 200 times.
Tell the jury why you continue to see her for 200.
Sustained.
So, can you tell us how often on a weekly basis you would see her at Tewksbury?
Yes. When Lindsay was admitted to Tewksbury State Hospital, I continued to see her on a weekly basis. We had built up a very comfortable, respectful rapport, and I felt it was in her best interest to continue that as she healed. She was still in deep grief. She was suffering.
Sustained.
So
that opinion be stricken.
So, did she express anything about her children and their loss over that period of 200 times that you saw her thereabouts in Tewksbury?
Objection.
No, overruled.
Yes.
Other jurors?
Lindsay talks frequently about her children. She loves them deeply. She carries immense grief.
Objection.
Overruled. Next question, though.
And has that continued to your observation?
It continues presently.
When was the last time that you saw Lindsay in Tewksbury?
Just prior to the trial starting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Kamal.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good morning.
Good morning.
You were talking about on January 25th, 2023, when you first saw Lindsay in direct examination, and you said that there were a lot of police officers in the area, correct?
Correct.
But you mentioned that some of them were security personnel from the hospital, correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that the security personnel for the hospital don't work for the state police, the Duxbury Police, or the Plymouth County DA's office, correct?
Correct.
So they're separate and apart from law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
And then are you also aware that on January 25th, 2023, there was a search warrant being executed to collect evidence from the defendant and from the belongings that she had at the hospital?
No, I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that that collection of the search warrant required state police and personnel from the crime lab to be present for the collection of evidence?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that following that, at any given time, there were only two officers, either Duxbury Police, State Police, or Plymouth County Sheriffs at her room, the defendant's room, at any given time?
I do recall that.
And they were stationed outside of her room, correct, in the hallway?
Yes.
So that the only time you saw this large amount of officers present was on the 25th, when there were security from the hospital and search warrants being executed, correct?
Perhaps.
Now, you mentioned that on January 31st, 2023, you spoke to the defendant and she told you that she heard a voice telling her that if she did not follow the command, neither she nor her children would be safe, correct?
Correct.
You wrote very detailed notes that are contained in the Brigham and Women's Hospital records regarding your interactions with Lindsay Clancy, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And in all of these notes that detail every time you interacted with her, you never once wrote that she told you she heard a voice or what that voice said, correct?
Correct.
And you also said that this voice, talking about the voice, came up in several of your meetings, correct?
Correct.
And you never once wrote about any of it in any of your very detailed notes, correct?
Well, chaplain notes are not verbatim transcripts of patient conversations. I'm not there to evaluate the patient. I'm there to bear witness to their suffering.
Okay, but the question was, you did not document those statements in your notes, correct?
Correct.
But you did document some other statements in those notes, correct?
Perhaps.
For example, on February 6th, 2023, in a note that you wrote regarding your interaction with the defendant, you said that, or you wrote, Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again, end quote. She continued to express her fears of how her inability to walk may make her vulnerable to others in the future. Do you recall writing that?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 9th, 2023, that the defendant was sitting in a chair adjacent to her bed and appeared to be visibly engaged, energized, and hopeful than in previous visits? Do you recall that?
Yes.
You also wrote in that note, Lindsay spoke hopefully of being discharged when the time arrives to Spalding, correct?
Correct.
And then in February 13th, 2023, you wrote in your note that Lindsay also expressed hopefulness in relation to her physical progress. She feels she has gained considerable physical strength and agility despite an inability to move her legs. She admitted that she feels, quote, deserving of this, end quote, in light of recent events. Do you remember writing that?
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Please
Do you
hit the
remember
like,
on
subscribe
February
if you
16th,
haven't.
2023, that you wrote in a note that the defendant expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted that she would be cared for in a facility with an excellent reputation?
Yes.
Do you recall writing on February 16th, 2023, that Paula, the defendant's mother, and Lindsay, the defendant, were playing a card game as they communed quietly, and that Lindsay expressed hopefulness with the news of her anticipated discharge to Spalding and seemed uplifted?
Yes.
And again, you've got all these details about her feelings and her thoughts and what she's doing, but nothing about the voices that you spoke of so many times, correct?
Correct.
And speaking of Spalding, you continued to visit her at Spalding, correct?
Yes.
In those conversations with her at Spalding, did she tell you that how in those first weeks at Spalding, that part of her physical therapy, she was working out with a yellow exercise band? No?
I don't recall her telling me that.
Did she tell you that during that time at Spalding, she reached out to a social worker there and asked for help filling out SSDI paperwork to get an income?
That would be beyond the scope of our conversation.
She didn't tell you those things?
No.
Thank you.
So, counsel has asked you about her filling out a form for SSDI. Were you aware of what expenses her family and were incurring as a result of her physical incapacity, paralysis, and being in the hospital?
From my experience with thousands of patients, I had a very clear idea of the enormous expense.
There's a difference between, as the district attorney very appropriately referred to, that your comments were about her thoughts and her appearance and her feelings. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's a difference, however, between privileged communications with a chaplain and observations of a person's feelings and thoughts, correct?
Correct.
Tell the jury what effect privileged communication has when someone talks to you personally as a chaplain.
Because I'm not a medically trained clinician, I approach patients in a vortex of trust. Some of our chaplains at the Brigham are ordained clergy. And so there's this understanding that when a patient interacts with a chaplain, the conversations are confidential.
Do you put them in medical records?
No.
The words, like Lindsay indicated that she felt uplifted, I think counsel read that twice. Were those your notes, or is that what she said to you? Did she say, I feel uplifted, or is that your
That was my
observation?
perception of Lindsay. It was not her words.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Como?
You said you're not allowed to put the defendant's words in your medical records. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. It's not that I'm not allowed. It's an understanding, and it's a conversation that's held in confidence with the patient.
Then why are there direct quotes in these medical records from the defendant?
Well, they're not verbatim transcripts.
No, not a transcript of the whole conversation, but you put phrases in quotes. For example, on February 6, 2023, where it says Lindsay welcomed the visit and shared her fears of, quote, not being able to walk again. So those were her words in your note, in quotes, in the medical record, correct?
Yes,
Thank
Yes,
you.
I use my best judgment.
Okay. I would move to have you submitted as the next exhibit, the notes of the witness in her interactions with Ms. Clancy at the Brigham and Women's.
Any objection? No. All right. They may be admitted.
I have no further questions. Sorry.
Hey, Mr. Reddington, go ahead.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. May you step down. All right, counsel, can I see it?
All right, we have another sidebar. So, yeah, definitely looks like the prosecution is reaching. They did say it was going to be a quick day today, too. Thank you for joining. Please hit like, subscribe if you haven't. We do have a poll up today. And it's covering my face, but that's okay. Will defense rest today? Do you think the defense will rest today, day 17? Type 1 in chat for yes. Type 2 in chat for no. Type 3 in chat for undecided. Right now, we have a vote of 71% for yes, 0% for no, and 29% for undecided. Let us know what you think. Right now, I think they are going to rest today. You know, I appreciate the testimony of the chaplain. I'm not really sure. I guess more of it's just more of them trying to show that Lindsay cared for her children. But I would want to think that you would want to leave the jury with the lasting impression of ending it with Dr. Ziesel, minus the TikTok witness.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a little shocked because now they're going to be more, not that they'll forget about what Dr. Ziesel said, but you're always naturally going to remember the most of what you just heard. And so I'm a little shocked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always possible that there's like another one or two that they'll quickly go through before. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, they did say lengthy day tomorrow, so maybe the closing arguments. That's what I was thinking too, Kib Kitty. I'm thinking they'll probably wrap it up today, have their closing arguments. I'm sure each side is going to spend half a day trying to argue. So maybe what we'll do tomorrow for the trial is for our recap. Maybe we will rewatch the opening statements tomorrow and see.
I told you it's going to be a short day for you.
In hopes.
And I appreciate, your
Whoa.
patience with this. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow at 9.
What?
Right? Same instructions.
It's already done?
That includes reading anything, talking about this case, watching anything. Just don't do it. All right? And when you leave here today, just drive, go home, wherever you're going to go.
That was the second
Plan on
time she
being back
looked at
here
the camera.
Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The plan would be that it will be it will be a longer day than today. I appreciate you coming in here today. We moved the case a little bit today, and I appreciate that. So we were able to do that. So I hope everybody has a nice afternoon and evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning for a longer day. And just remember those instructions from the moment you leave to the moment you come here tomorrow. Okay? Again, thank you so much.
All right, please, your testing.
Oh, he's pissed. He's pissed.
Yeah.
You see her look at him? Her eyes got real open and wide. This was the second time she looked at the camera, the AP camera, the second time. She did it
Yeah.
yesterday and she did it today. And then he slammed his.
She's
He's
looked over at
agitated.
him. She's looked over at him a lot today as well.
All right.
So what we'll do is we'll take a short break at this point. We'll come back. We'll do kind of a preliminary charge conference. We're going to just, which I know council knows, but for everybody else, discuss possible jury instructions, suggestions from council. Then we can talk about any logistical issues that we have for tomorrow, and then we'll probably recess at that point. All right, so this will be a short recess, and we'll come back up. Thank you.
Do you think they're going to change the charge?
You think that's possible?
Yeah.
You think what? You think the prosecution is going to change?
They're going to
from
downgrade it.
murder to manslaughter?
They're doing something. I think it's to do with that because
Huh. Whoa, what a twist.
I mean
Another twist.
that's just I'm just guessing, but
I mean, we said yesterday, I mean, I did anyway, that I thought, well, 2 days ago, I thought the trial was over. After part one of Dr. Ziesel's testimony, and maybe they realized that, I mean, we saw him squirming with the last couple witnesses. Maybe you're right. Maybe they realized that they wouldn't be able to get a murder conviction, and so manslaughter would be. But why would that piss off Reddington? He seemed very pissed. We can rewind it and watch it too.
I don't know why that would, but yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, I don't know why that would. Maybe he just doesn't like the idea of a change of plans in any way. But, I mean, maybe because he wanted to continue on this way to sort of highlight the medical malpractice side of it. I have no idea, but I do think that they can change it. So maybe that is. I mean, we'll see.
Oh, and that would make sense. Don't hold it against either part, either side. It has nothing to do with the attorneys. It has nothing to do with the parties involved. Don't hold it against either side. Maybe that is what it is, Rosie. It makes a lot more sense now. Maybe they did. They switched it from murder to manslaughter. Because they want her to spend prison time, and you're going to serve prison time with manslaughter. So, and that's less, that's less hard to really prove when it's manslaughter compared to murder. Less requirements to meet. That is I think that is probably the most probable thing right now.
Yeah, it's
That you brought it up. It makes a lot of sense in all the different aspects of what was said, how it's affecting things. The body language from the prosecution and the defense.
yeah, and that would explain why he would be saying it's not something he did.
Right. That would be such a bitch move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see. Let me look this up. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was also looking it up. It does say, just the Google AI, if you ask the question, it says, yes, a prosecutor in Massachusetts can change, reduce, or add criminal charges, but their ability to do so depends on the stage of the case whether the charge is a complaint or an indictment, or whether the charge prejudices the defense. So it says they can add or upgrade charges. It says prosecutors generally can modify, add, upgrade before trial begins.
Yeah, before, not in the middle.
And then it says amending charges during or near trial. It may be amended at any time so long as the defendant is not unfairly prejudiced. If it's substantial, hold on. They can't do it if it's going to change the defendant's ability to prosecute the case. So they probably can't make it more or make it more work, but they could make it. They can't harm her ability to defend her case. That's what it says, but I'm going to get the actual source on that.
What's up, Hopper? Hopper says, I don't think it's due to charges. What do you think it is? If you're not busy, Hopper, do you want to come up on panel or do you want to call in? Let us know what you think. Let me know. Man. Well, we're obviously going to find out, right? I mean, I think that's what they're going to discuss when they come back is the reason it ended abruptly. I don't know. I kind of got that impression from the judge's words. Did you get that impression, Rosie? Or am I just hoping?
I did. I mean, it could be anything. Like,
yeah, I mean, it could be anything, but
yeah,
just trying to think of rational, shit that makes sense. The biggest thing is don't hold it against either side. Those are the key words. Yeah, it could be anything, really. But keywords, don't hold it against either side. That changes it all.
Yeah, it does. And it's also
'Cause
to
it's-
do- Sorry.
No, go ahead.
See, he did say like it's to do with why they would be having a shorter day today. He said it's just something that they have to work out, and they will work it out so that they can have a normal day tomorrow. So I don't know.
And then extra short today. And he did make the comment they're ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
So maybe the defense dropped some of the witnesses from
Yeah.
who they were going to call. Save some time. Ms. Cosmo says, my understanding was that additional charges can be added, but the ability to change the charges wouldn't be allowed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so then
What
then
could
it wouldn't be that. I don't know.
It's been driving me nuts
It's
because
driving me nuts right now. I was like,
and my mind has been so fixated on different things from last night, then this morning, then as we get through some more things, it's kind of like, at first I thought it had something to do with the TikTok and a jury member. Now we hear the words from this morning from the judge, and that's obviously not what it is, because it has nothing to do with the attorneys, the parties involved, or the jury. I've never seen it. And it's crazy the way that it ended yesterday, how it's going to end today because of whatever the issue is. And a longer day tomorrow. Maybe it's not wrapped up like I thought it would. I just, man, why wouldn't you end it? Excuse me, why wouldn't you end your argument with Dr. Ziesel? I mean, geez, that would have been the best way to end it. Really
Or
shocked.
maybe there was like an issue with scheduling, and it was supposed to be that way, but like she could only be there today or something like that. Like maybe it was not on purpose.
I just can't get past Shanna when she did that, you know. When court started this morning.
Yeah.
He seemed fine. Then he seemed pissed just a few minutes ago. So, oh yeah, we were going to watch that. Let me replay this real quick.
Okay.
We might even be back from court. Shit. I had it on pause this whole time. I don't think we're...
All right. I told you it was going to be a short day for you, right? And I appreciate your patience with us. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow at 9. All right? Same instructions.
Please hit the like, subscribe if you
and
haven't.
That includes reading anything, talking about this case, watching anything. Just don't do it. All right? And when you leave here today, just drive, go home, wherever you're going to go, and plan on being back here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. The plan would be that it will be it will be a longer day than today. I appreciate you coming in here today. We moved the case a little bit today, and I appreciate that. So we were able to do that. So I hope everybody has a nice afternoon and evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning for a longer day. And just remember those instructions from the moment you leave to the moment you come here tomorrow. Okay? Again, thank you so much.
All right, please, your testing.
See the way he just slammed it down. Her eyes got all big for a second. So that's how it, yeah, and there's live. So we are still waiting for court to resume. Something pissed him off, though. Something definitely pissed him off. Let me see here. Let's see what else we got. Well, they said the break shouldn't be too long. Let's go to this male voice again from Vinny as we wait. You never know with these people. They can tell you to be a short break, and then an hour later we're back. So let's check out some Vinny in the meantime. Once it goes back from the break, we will take it back to you even in mid-video, mid-sentence, mid-word. We're going to take you right back to there. In the meantime, we're going to check out Vinny Politan Investigates on Court TV.
The trial of admitted child killer Lindsay Clancy has absolutely grabbed the attention of the nation. Lindsay pointing the finger at her doctors and nurses for over-medicating and misdiagnosing her mental illness, resulting in her hearing voices in her head.
She had said that she heard a male voice ordering her, telling her that she didn't have any choice, but she had to kill her children and then kill herself.
But prosecutors say her mental illness was not as bad as she claims, and that she planned the killings because she didn't want to be a mother anymore. The Commonwealth is rested, and now the defense is putting on their case, trying to show this jury Lindsay Clancy was suffering from postpartum psychosis.
She had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
Meanwhile, many people watching this trial and commenting on social media have pointed the finger at Lindsay's husband, Patrick. But Lindsay's defense admits that she's the one who killed the children, and they are arguing because of her mental illness, she should not be held criminally responsible. The pace of this trial is picking up, and the defense really laser focused on the issues they want to put in front of this jury, including the evidence of her illness and Lindsay Clancy hearing voices in her head telling her to take the lives of her children. The question is, can the prosecution overcome this type of evidence? I'm Vinnie Politan. Let's investigate. I think most of you know I am a former prosecutor. That's how I see the world. And that's how I initially analyze most cases is, okay, is this a case I could prosecute? This is a tough case. And this is a very tough case. Generally speaking, cases involving legal insanity usually aren't. Usually there's a huge advantage to the prosecution because in most cases, it's a defense of last resort. That's not the case here. That's not what is happening with Lindsay Clancy. I would argue that this is probably the first choice of a defense in this case rather than the last choice of a defense in this case. And one of the reasons is the incredibly well-documented history and recent history that Lindsay Clancy had on this issue of being mentally ill. And one of the things that we've seen are the prescriptions that were written for her. And a lot has been said about the number of prescriptions over the course of just 4 months where she's got her doctor, her nurse practitioner, everyone. I mean, they're evaluating her. And as a result of those evaluations, giving her medicine. Okay? That is proof that there's something wrong. When a doctor gives you medicine or a nurse practitioner gives you medicine, something is wrong with you. And the issues here obviously are all mental. So to me, that is compelling evidence. Whether or not you believe the mental illness caused her to do this, first you have to establish the fact that mental illness exists. And now prosecutors cannot claim that it's being faked. It's real. Like it's actually real. These are treating doctors who are prescribing this medicine. Then on top of that, she also spent time as an inpatient in a hospital for the same issues at McLean. Now, the circumstances under which she left or was no longer there, obviously both sides will debate that. But what cannot be debated, and again, what prosecutors have to overcome here and what makes it a tough case is the fact that she was hospitalized for a mental condition in the weeks just prior to her taking the lives of her 3 children. Most of these cases, they don't have that. Usually it's like, oh, you know, it was sort of undetected and it happened. And a forensic specialist comes in afterwards and tells you what was happening at the time. Now we've got the treating physicians and the folks at the hospital all talking about what was happening at the time. Again, what prosecutors are arguing here is the degree or level of mental illness and what the impact of the mental illness is on her actions. But you're in a place now where you don't want to be as a prosecutor arguing over degrees. Instead of, as you usually argue, they're either mentally ill or they're not. And many times they're faking it. Again, that's not what is happening here. Finally, you've got probably the most compelling potential evidence in this case that prosecutors have to deal with, which are the voices in Lindsay Clancy's head. This is Andrea Yates stuff we're talking about. If you're hearing delusional voices and you can't distinguish between the reality and you can't stop the voices and the voices are controlling you, that's like all in. Like this makes this even more difficult for prosecutors because they have to prove or disprove the impact of the mental illness on her actions that day. So let's take you inside the courtroom. Dr. Zeisel, a psychologist who was hired by the defense, testifying here about seeing Lindsay Clancy almost immediately after all this happened and her talking about the voices in her head. This is crucial. This is key. Let's take a look.
The conversation I had with Ms. Clancy at that time was one where I asked if she knew where she was. So I did what's called a mental status exam, a brief mental status exam. It's orientation to time, place, location. She didn't know where she was, wasn't quite sure what time it was. She knew who she was. And she told me that she remembers what happened, but it was very fuzzy and foggy. At the time, she had been on medication for the significant pain post-surgery while in that hospital room.
And during the course of that interview with her, did she express any concern to you about her husband, Patrick?
Yes, she did.
Tell the jurors what she indicated to you.
She said, since 11 days prior to my meeting with her, which would have been January 24th, 2023, she had no contact with Patrick. She wanted to know how he was doing. She wanted to know if she could call him and find out where things are with her and with him and how he was faring, and to just speak with him.
She expressed concern about her family.
Yes, she did.
Did she express concern about what had happened?
Yes.
Did she ask you, or did you offer to her the ability to speak to her husband, Patrick?
She asked me if she could use my cell phone to call her husband.
Did she do that?
Yes, she did.
Did you hear the conversation?
Yes, I told her we'd call. It would have to be on speakerphone.
And tell us about that conversation.
So that first phone call, I believe on the 24th, he did not pick up. She left a message. I did not leave a message. We then called back 2 days later on the 6th.
And after the 2 days had transpired and the call was made on the 6th, did she have a chance to talk to Patrick?
Yes.
Were you there?
Yes.
Was she still chained to the bed?
Yes.
Were the cops still outside the room?
Yes, not in blues. They were in civilian clothing, jeans, flannel shirts.
And tell us what she said to Patrick in your presence on the speakerphone at that point.
She had told Patrick that she loved him very much. She was unable to express a lot of emotion, but she expressed love for him. And she had said that she heard a male voice ordering her, telling her that she didn't have any choice, but she had to kill her children and then kill herself.
Now, doctor, have in mind your background, your career, Did you tell Lindsay Clancy to lie or make that up and pretend that she was hearing voices?
No.
Do you have any conversation or any suggestions to her at all that she should say she heard voices or anything like that?
Absolutely not.
Okay. There's been...
Thank you, Hopper. 82 for the 30 jewels and the 30 jewels and the couple flowers. Thank you so much.
some chat, and we've heard it really from the defense, you know.
Appreciate you all very much. Please hit the like, subscribe. We are still waiting for court to resume from a break.
Trying to deflate any indication that this doctor was setting things up for the defense at trial by having her talk about the voices. So that's what that last part was about. Maybe significant for some jurors. I don't know. Depends on what prosecutors allege or argue at some point. But the bottom line here is that the voices telling her she had no choice. Would have liked to know a little bit more about that. Like, whose voice was it? Why didn't she have a choice? But the bottom line of this, and this is, a few days after the incident, this is, again, what prosecutors have to disprove, okay? The defense is putting it out there, and now prosecutors have to disprove it because the burden is on them in Massachusetts in cases like this. This, again, is why it's so tough. So let's take a look now at Shannon Buckingham, Assistant District Attorney for the Commonwealth, cross-examining the doctor.
Now, you testified yesterday that you performed a mental status exam that day on February 4th. Do you recall that?
I do.
Where in your report or the previous report from July or your June report do you outline the results of your mental status exam?
There is none, because if someone's not capable of just explaining who they are, where they are, and if they're clear of mentation and thinking, then I'll meet with them. But if they're not, I won't. So it's a sine qua non. You do that just to make sure you can keep meeting with them and that they are able to understand what you're talking about. Standard practice.
But you indicated yesterday that she did know who she was, right?
Yes.
She didn't know where she was.
Yes.
But I believe your testimony was that she did remember what happened, but she was foggy as to what happened.
Yes, that's correct.
And she actually, according to your testimony yesterday, asked you for your phone or to access your phone to make a phone call. Was that correct?
Yes.
So she was able to communicate with you.
Yes.
She asked you for something and you clearly understood what she was asking for.
Yes.
And you indicated that she asked to call her husband, right?
Yes.
Had you spoken with her husband before that time?
I did not speak with him at that time. I didn't know him, and I had not spoken to him prior to that time.
So how'd you get the phone number to call him?
I did not have the phone number to call.
So she provided you with a phone number to dial so that she could call him on speakerphone, right?
Yes.
And she remembered the number?
Yes.
And so you indicated on that day, on February 4th, that she left a voicemail, right?
Yes.
So in that voicemail message, were you able to identify that it was Patrick Clancy's phone? Did it say, hey, this is Pat, leave a message or something to that effect?
I don't remember the salutation from the voice recording, but there was no evidence that it was not Patrick Clancy.
And as far as her confidence in the number, she gave it to you with no issue, did she not?
That's correct.
She didn't have her own cell phone to refer to, did she?
That's correct.
Or a pad of paper where all the numbers were written down?
She didn't.
You indicated that she left a message. Do you recall what the message was?
She expressed a love for him, wanted to know how he was doing, and that was pretty much it.
And again, you said that you didn't write down what the mental status exam was, but the fact that she was able to relay that message, was it clear and coherent what she was saying?
Yes, mental status exams are multiple levels. Different things are asked. If you don't know where you are, it doesn't mean you can't have a conversation with someone.
And she was able to have a conversation with you that day?
Yes.
Now, you said you went back on February 6th and met with her again, correct?
Yes.
And you guys made another attempt at calling Patrick?
Yes.
Again, did you remember the number?
No.
Did you have it stored in your phone?
No.
Did she provide you his phone number to call?
Well, it was in my phone. I could just look it up on my phone. I didn't write it down. I didn't enter his name. Either she gave it to me again or I just looked it up from 2 days prior.
But you don't recall, as you say here today, which it was, do you?
No.
And you didn't write a report about that interaction, did you?
I did not.
So in the second phone call, you were able to actually hear that she was talking with Patrick on the other end, right?
Yes.
And at that time, when you were now second time meeting with her and having this phone call, were you aware that she had already changed her healthcare proxy from Patrick to her parents?
I did not know that.
Did you talk to Patrick in between the 4th and the 6th to find out if he had tried to come in to visit her?
I didn't speak to him at all, so I knew nothing about what his plans or intentions were.
Your testimony yesterday was that she had called him to tell him that she loved him and to see where they were at. right?
Yes.
That was your testimony? Meaning what? Their relationship?
That I made no interpretation of what that meant. She left the message and we left it at that.
But in that subsequent conversation that you were a witness to where they were speaking on the phone and she told them about these voices or explained about the voices, did she ask about the kids?
She did not, as I recall.
Now, in all of the times over the course of the last few years that you've met with Ms. Clancy, how many times has she told you since the incident that she's heard a voice currently?
She has not heard voices since the event took place in 2023.
And you've now testified that over the course of a period of time that she did hear voices, right?
Yes.
And is that based on one of these 35 hours worth of conversations you had with her? How do you know that?
Well, they were collateral contacts. I spoke to other people who I asked the nature of their interactions with Ms. Clancy, and it was not a fishing expedition. I asked them if they can tell me what happened.
Well, I'm asking
but they
you.
disclosed, pardon me.
You have to let them finish.
So they disclosed information to me that Ms. Clancy shared that information with them.
So who did she tell that she had a voice that told her to kill herself?
She spoke to a chaplain named Sheila Kavanaugh, who I spoke with, and Chaplain Kavanaugh told me that Ms. Clancy told her that she heard a male voice instructing her to first kill her children and then to kill herself.
So the same message that she delivered to Patrick that day on the phone, you heard from a chaplain at Brigham and Women's Hospital after the incident occurred in January of 2023?
Yes.
And so from all of the records that you reviewed of her treatment and all of the interviews with her family, who did she tell that she heard voices telling her to kill herself?
I believe she told family members.
Which family members?
I believe she may have said that to her mother. She, I believe, told her husband that she felt like killing herself as well.
In the records with the providers, you're aware, you've reviewed them all and you've sat through all of their testimony. You're aware that when she described intrusive thoughts, she never referred to them as a voice telling her to kill herself, did they? Did she?
No, she was referring to...
It's just a yes or no?
No.
So as far as her reports of these intrusive thoughts that appear over and over in the notes, you would agree that it was simply, when asked about what they were, it was simply that she felt like she wanted to die, right?
Yes, and...
It's just a yes or no?
Yes.
This is a big issue. This is an enormous issue. This could be a make it or break it for prosecutors. It seems from the tone of her voice that the prosecutor is very skeptical about these voices, whether or not they actually existed beforehand or were sort of made up afterwards as a defense to the crime. This is an issue that the jury ultimately is going to have to figure out. Was she hearing voices? Or is she talking about hearing voices because she knows she's in trouble for killing her 3 children? So I want to take a moment to tell you about something really exciting here at Law and Crime. If you haven't heard yet, we have the Law and Crime Plus app, and it's a total game changer. This is where we give you a deep dive into the biggest cases in true crime. You get access to the actual evidence, including body cam video, 911 calls, crime scene photos, trial footage, and so much more. You really get to explore the evidence like never before. And because we want all of you to check it out, we're giving our viewers a free 1-month trial. Just head over to lawandcrimeplus.com, enter the promo code VPI, and start your free trial today. Dr. Zeisel was hired by the defense as a forensic expert. Now, that's different than a treating psychiatrist or psychologist. This is someone who comes in to evaluate and come to a conclusion as to the state of mind of the defendant at the time of the alleged crimes. That's the most important. What was going on at the time of the alleged crimes? What was she going through? Could she form that mental state that is necessary under the law to be convicted of a crime? Or is this someone who should be found not criminally responsible? This is where he gets into his analysis and his opinion as an expert. So, without any further ado, let's go in. We're going to take a look at Kevin Reddington getting to that point of the examination of his expert, and then we'll see the response from the prosecutor. Let's take a look.
Would you agree, sir, that the symptoms of postpartum psychosis would be depression? Is that one?
Yes.
Did Lindsay, to your opinion, have depression?
Yes.
And were there indications from your review of the medical records that she felt low, flat, tearful, emotional, crying?
All of those things, yes.
Did she also express anxiety, feeling tense, nervousness?
All of those things, yes.
Did she also express feelings that she was withdrawn, not able to socialize with people, wanting to talk or be near others?
All of those things as well, yes.
She indicate that she felt tired, heavy, without energy?
Absolutely, yes.
Did she indicate that she was having a harder time taking care of her children?
Yes.
Did she indicate that she was having issues regarding personal hygiene, not bathing, things of that nature?
Yes.
Did she indicate that she had severe confusion and actually hearing or seeing things that aren't there? In her case, it would not be seeing, that would be visual hallucinations. But did she complain of hearing things that weren't there, hallucinations?
Yes.
Did she complain of thoughts and beliefs that were not within reality and that she was in a disassociated state out of reality?
Yes.
Did she indicate that, did you observe that there were circumstances where she exhibited increased energy, activity, productivity, otherwise known as hypomania?
Yes.
Did she complain that she had racing thoughts, a quote, busy brain, end quote, increased creativity?
Yes.
And when she said in your review of the medical records that she was having a busy brain, did she express the fact that she would get confused and that she thought her brain was damaged?
Yes, that's correct.
Was she restless and agitated, unable to keep still?
Yes.
Unable to sleep?
Yes, extremely unable to sleep.
So can you tell this jury, sir, in your opinion, to a reasonable degree of medical certainty based upon all of what you have reviewed, all of what we have talked about, all of what you have considered, as to whether or not at the time of this incident resulting in the killing of these 3 little kids that she was suffering from a mental disease or defect, such as that she lost substantial capacity to appreciate the wrongfulness of her act, or in the disjunctive, was unable to conform her conduct to the requirements of the law?
Yes.
Tell the jury what your opinion is, please.
My opinion is that she did have indeed a mental disease or defect. That's a legal construct, not a DSM-5 one, but she had bipolar disorder with postpartum psychoses. In addition, she was unable to conform her behaviors to the rule of law, and she had no appreciation for the wrongfulness of her act.
Well, you testified today that a person in a psychotic state can do things they've done before, but it might be hard for them to do new tasks, right?
Yes.
So if it's something that is part of their daily life, getting up, caring for the kids, feeding, making a meal, driving a car. Those are things that people do every day and a lot of times don't even have to think about, right?
Yes, no thinking necessary.
But
automatic response.
You're aware that on this particular day of this incident, on January 24th of 2023, that the defendant took Cora to the doctors, right?
Yes.
And you indicated in your testimony today that it was for a regular checkup, but in your report, you identified that it was for a stomach ache, right?
Yes, she had a stomach ache.
But in addition to maybe her having a stomach ache, she had previously had this visit scheduled, and you're aware of that now, correct?
Yes.
And at the doctor, there was a recommendation made for an over-the-counter medication, right?
Yes.
And the defendant was able to process that information, take it back with her, and then later, not immediately after the visit, but later in the day, search for where to get that medication, right?
Psychosis doesn't lower your intellectual functioning, so you can do all those things. So
Well, that wasn't my question. My question was, did she do those things?
Yes, I said that's correct.
Okay. And you've talked a lot about that a person can operate as normally as they can, but fair to say, if you're in a psychotic state, that person themselves has a significant amount of distress, right?
Yes.
And that in order to mask those symptoms, it requires an enormous amount of control, does it not?
It depends on the level and the extremism of the psychotic processing. So some people will hear voices that are nominal, they whisper. Some people hear voices that are yelling and screaming. So it's on a range, it's a continuum. So the more upsetting, more powerful, demanding the voice, the more difficult it might be to resist it and do other things. And the less, the easier it is.
In all of the time between September of 2022 and January 23rd of 2023, at any point in which the defendant heard these voices about harming herself, she didn't act on them then, did she?
That's correct, yes. She did not act on those. She sought help instead.
Damn, Vinny, change your mic.
And I think this is something that the jury may have an issue with, right? Which is understanding how someone could be in this psychotic state at one point and seek help and let people know, yet in a psychotic state at another point, say nothing and plot and plan the killing of your children. Why at one time is she seeking help and at another time not seeking help? And I think for both sides, there needs to be some level of explanation here. And I'm sure there will be in the closing arguments. But this is a point where I think
Okay, he's clearly not paying attention to the trial. Let's go ahead and frickin' Vinny. He's turning into clickbait just as worse as some of the other people on YouTube, man. The shock faces and all this dumb shit. Man, pay attention to the trial, Vinny.
With that, let's bring in criminal defense attorney David Gelman. David.
We are still on break. Just like I said earlier, we literally watched 40 minutes of Vinny waiting for this quick, short break from the court. We're still waiting for the court to resume. Oh, the tardiness of this court system here in Massachusetts is just really getting on me.
But are you surprised that the defense could rest today? Do you think that means
Please hit the like,
defense is
subscribe
pretty
if you're not.
confident it's going to win this case? Win in this situation is obviously, not life in prison, but it's life in a mental institution. You think they're maybe throwing the jury an olive branch, saying we're not going to keep you guys here any longer?
Look, that's a good question, Todd. Just like Chanley said,
I'm good at this.
You are. You're right. I think it certainly could be. But at the end of the day, look, they did their case. They know what they have. They wanted everything out there. The jury heard everything they said. This is a battle of the experts. They put their experts on. The state puts their experts on. At the end of the day, the jury is going to have to decide. And I think by them just doing it right now, not prolonging it, it definitely makes a good impression.
Experts are one thing, but the psychologist that actually treated Clancy following the killings, I think that is so much more important than just an expert that you're paying, to sort of basically do your side of the case. And the psychologist said that Clancy could not appreciate the wrongfulness of her actions. Isn't that the whole case right there?
It really is. I mean, look, this is such a weird case because all of America is watching this and it's really divided. And you have to look at it like that. And when you have the psychologist saying these types of things, saying that she couldn't appreciate her actions, that is reasonable doubt. And that is exactly what the jury will be looking at when they deliberate in the jury room, maybe today.
Let's head to Texas. Carmelo Anthony expected back in court today for a hearing to determine if his case warrants a retrial. This after the original judge, Judge Roach, is removed from further proceedings, with another judge saying that Roach's impartiality could reasonably be questioned. He did some media stuff, said we had a great jury. Apparently, that raised for this other judge potential impartiality questions. Even though this is technically a win for the defense, David, I would argue this actually helps the prosecution more because they have an airtight case. They have an airtight verdict in the case. This would officially remove any doubt that this judge was problematic, could be problematic in the future, and I think that cuts against a retrial.
Ding, ding, ding. I agree with you 100%. Look, they can't do an appeal saying, look, this judge was now impartial. He was against Carmelo Anthony. They have no argument now. So now it's all about the actual facts of the matter and the appellate division matters. And it's going to be really interesting because Carmelo Anthony's former attorney may be testifying today, which is almost unheard of in these types of hearings. So I'm really interested to see what he says, if anything.
There's also the crux of Carmelo Anthony's argument. They say it's wrong that the judge instituted a gag order and also banned electronics from the courtroom. That's what you're supposed to do to make sure that the only thing that influences the jury is within the four walls of the courtroom. I don't think that's a strong argument. Quickly, you agree with me?
No, not at all. The only argument they have is, oh, well, he didn't testify. Well, the judge said, why don't you testify? You can testify if you want. He said no.
They don't have much. David Gelman, you have a lot. And we appreciate you coming in and sharing it with us. Ashley, over to you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
You know, it's very moving for them. They don't forget it.
Mr. Reddington, what's your message to all these folks who are here today?
Thank you. That's all I can say. It's amazing.
We love you, Kevin.
Kevin, are you surprised at just how much attention this case has gotten? I mean, people are coming from Maine.
It's the message. It really is. It's the message that just has reverberated, throughout the whole country.
What is that
Reddington's
message?
fighting for women's rights.
No, I
for
don't.
healthcare.
I think that it's the mental health system. I hate to use the word health care because unfortunately in this case we can see it hasn't been health care, and I think that it shines a light on this issue. I mean, when a woman is going through what so many people do, and they go to a doctor, and the doctor says, here, take this pill, take that pill, take this pill, and then they basically treat them for 15, 20 minutes and send them on their way. It's just not right.
And to those who can't wrap their heads around sympathizing with a mother who killed her 3 children, what do you say to them?
I think it's almost like when you're picking a jury, and sometimes somebody will say, well, I don't agree with, this allegation of murder. I mean, none of us do. But that's what we have juries for. They pass between the government and the defendant to see if they can prove their case.
Is she aware of this support, and what does she think of this support?
I'm going to go in and see her right now. I'm sure that she is, and if she isn't, she will be.
What do you think about?
She's so beat up and just so sad. But this will really help her out, I think. It's awesome.
Tell her we love her.
What do you think about you being the advocate for all women right now?
I'm not an advocate.
You are. But you are. But you are.
Thank you.
Join the live stream. Help us reach more people. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, comment, and share this out to your socials and friends. We appreciate you very much for being here with us today. That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Let's watch that again. Let's watch that again. That was pretty good. Good interview, too. All right, they should be coming back here in a minute. I saw the camera jiggle a little bit, so hopefully that's a sign we're going to be done with this break. I can't believe it's been this long, and it was supposed to be a short one. Yeah, he's allowed to speak and answer questions if he would like. Yep. All right, let's watch this again here real quick.
You know, it's very moving for them. They don't forget it.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
All right, Council, what we kind of wanted to do is at least
Thank you all for being here. Please hit the like and subscribe if you haven't.
discussion regarding instructions. And what I would generally do is after we have the discussion is then kind of distribute a draft to council so everybody we could have a more focused charge conference next day or so. But I just kind of wanted to get everybody's thoughts or kind of suggestions that they would be seeking the court to instruct the jury on. So kind of what I'll be using will be the model jury instructions, generally the model jury instructions from the March 2026, the latest suggestions from the SJC. And so Commonwealth, let me kind of hear what your thoughts are, and then I'll hear from the defendant.
So for individual instructions, we have listed opinion testimony, prior inconsistent and prior consistent statements, redactions. I don't think there are too many, but there were some on the death certificates, stipulations, and consciousness of guilt instruction. In terms of what we're looking for for the charges, we'd be looking for an instruction on first and second, with the theories of first being both deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. In terms of the criminal responsibility instruction, we're asking that the instruction regarding intoxication not be given, because from our perspective, there's been no evidence of intoxication by drugs and or alcohol during the killings. There's testimony, and I think there'll be more testimony about the defendant taking pills after killing the children, and before killing the children, she was on low-dose prescription 10 milligrams of amitriptyline that was recently increased to 20 milligrams, but there's no real evidence of whether or not she actually increased that dose. And then it was a low dose of trazodone and a low dose of, I believe, Valium. So those were prescribed medications that she had reported no side effects from. And I believe in the text with her mother, she said that she was still waiting to actually feel effects from those. So there's no evidence of intoxication from those drugs. And then the only intoxication potentially could be when she took pills after killing the children. And even those amounts from the toxicology are low level amounts. So we're asking that the instruction on intoxication not be given.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask the defendant as well, because I did read through those. And I was trying to find the definition of intoxication as it applies in the homicide instructions. Most of the cases that I was able to find so far is dealing with the OUI statute, Chapter 90. And trying to find the real definition in regards to that. Is it the Commonwealth's position that the intoxication is beyond what was the considered effect of the drugs? Because if you know what I'm saying, so if she takes, if a defendant, I don't mean to personalize it, if a defendant takes prescription drugs and it does create some effect, would that be considered intoxicated for the instruction?
I don't believe so. I think in the instructions it talks about having being intoxicated to the point where it affects your state of mind or ability to control yourself. I think intoxication, especially where there's not a specific definition given in the homicide instructions, I think you go to the general definition of intoxication, which would not just be taking medication as prescribed, but it would be over taking medication or combining with alcohol or other drugs. It's similar to the instructions in OUIs, or, operating under the influence of alcohol or drugs. I think you would have to go to that definition or to the general definition of intoxication if it's not specifically defined in the instructions. And I think the general definition of intoxication is taking some type of substance, either alcohol, drugs, medication, in excess, and to the point where it's affecting your ability to think and to act and to control your behavior.
All right. All right. Anything? So I've got opinion, prior, consistent, prior, inconsistent, redaction, stipulations, consciousness of guilt, first, second, extreme atrocity, deliberate premeditation, and the criminal responsibilities without the subparagraph of the paragraph regarding intoxication.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Mr. Reddington?
I don't know if the government has been listening to the same evidence in this case. This is clearly an involuntary intoxication defense, at least as far as the judge's charge to the jury, based upon the evidence that's been presented, whether or not it's what we would argue is the over prescription of the medications, whether or not it's the side effects of the medications, whether or not it's the titration or the termination or the immediate cessation of the medications against what normal medical advice would be. All of those factors contribute to the state of mind of Ms. Clancy that was expressed to a lot of people, family members, people that knew her. She had indicated, I think Your Honor knows the evidence, repeatedly indicated that she was affected by the benzos. She was affected, felt that she was being addicted to the benzos, trying to get off the benzos. She indicated that the sertraline was obviously killing her as far as going from 25 to 50 milligrams. And then subsequent to that, when there's additional SSRIs prescribed, to suggest that there's no basis to give the jury the instruction, they may determine based on the evidence that is as a result of the involuntary intoxication from narcotics, not alcohol, obviously, from the prescribed narcotics, not illegal drugs. So from the prescription drugs, that's on all fours with a valid defense that they should be instructed as it relates to involuntary intoxication. I think it's the model jury instructions on criminal responsibility. Obviously, if there's any nuances that I would pick up, I would bring that to the court's attention. But I have tried murder case recently with the model jury instructions, and my memory is that I was pretty satisfied. It was Judge O'Shea, I think, actually in this courtroom a year ago, and I was satisfied with the instructions on lack of criminal responsibility. I would, at some point, ask the court to charge on involuntary manslaughter. I'd ask the court to charge on wanton conduct with a component of the impact of the intoxication. So you can't try this in a vacuum. You can't present the case to the jury. I know the government would like to present the case only on cruelty and atrocity. They probably don't like the statute that allows a jury to determine the degree of murder, which would be first and second. But I think that the evidence is such that a jury should have the option of considering whether or not we're talking about involuntary manslaughter based upon the evidence that's permitted. So I would defer to the court on the instructions on cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice of forethought, second degree malice. I would ask the court to consider instructing on involuntary intoxication, to consider on the involuntary manslaughter as a lesser offense, and anything else that I can think of. But right now, that's what I can think of.
All right. Yeah, counsel.
Thank you. Commonwealth did request first and second degree instructions. It's our position that involuntary manslaughter wouldn't apply here. The evidence is that there was a specific intent to cause the death. So there's nothing that I can think of in the involuntary instruction that would apply here. Going back to the intoxication just for a moment.
Sure.
All of the medications, most of the medications that defense counsel talked about that the defendant was having reactions to and side effects from were before her hospitalization at McLean Hospital. And she was weaned off of that last one, the Seroquel, that while she was in McLean Hospital. And then she was without those medications and they're out of her system for 3 weeks. And she's just on those other 3 medications. So the intoxication that matters is not what happened in the fall and before McLean, it's what happened on the day of the incident. It's similar if it's an OUI, it doesn't matter if you were drunk in November, it matters if you're drunk on the date of the incident. So what matters here is that January 24th, 2023, and those other drugs and the effects that they caused to her aren't relevant to what happened on that day as they've been out of her system for at least 3 weeks at that point.
All right. So the Commonwealth's position would be that the relevant analysis is what she was taking on or around that January 24th?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Sure.
It's occurred to me, again, as I said, it's only fresh in my mind from the case I had here last year. I know the model jury instructions indicate, and I'm trying to find it in here, that there's supposed to be consideration of a chalk for the court to write out the elements of the offense of first degree murder, cruelty and atrocity, premeditated malice of forethought, etc. And I would ask that you not do that. I don't think that it's appropriate. I think it highlights, if you will, in simplistic terms, premeditated malice of forethought. I think you and I, we just had a murder case last year on another matter. And I mean, I heard your instructions. You're very forceful with the elements of the offense. And I just don't think we need to have this appendix or whatever you want to call it. And again, I did object to that with the Judge O'Shea. We did not submit the instruction list, cookbook, or whatever you want to call it, to the jury. So I think that the court's instructions would be sufficient. I would not want to have that chalk that is referenced in the model instructions. That's discretionary. It's not obligated. They just say that it might be helpful for the court to give the jury some type of a checklist. But I don't think we should reduce instructions on a murder case to a checklist. And I'm just afraid that what happens is that jurors then take the checklist, as it were, and they kind of look at it or consider it, and they just do exactly that. It's a checklist. So I would ask that you not do that.
All right. Just so counsel, my general practice is not to have that kind of list. I generally don't, but I also generally will provide a copy of the instructions to each juror. So they'll have their own full copy and they can follow along because the three of you know they're lengthy and kind of dry. So they'll have those with them. But I'll like I said, I generally don't do that chart. All right. So anything else in regards to the instructions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. So my plan would be to have at least a rough draft available for counsel tomorrow. So you at least have that And, depending on the timing and where we go in regards to the actual closings, we'll have the opportunity for you to review those, go over the draft, and then any kind of objections or suggestions you want to make, we'll have a chance to do that. But so you'll have, again, it's a rough draft. That's all I can tell you. And nothing's in stone, but at least give you an idea kind of where I'm coming from.
Do you think logistically, Your Honor,
Thank you for joining. Please hit the like and
presentation,
subscribe if you haven't.
Dr. Resnick, and then the government having their 3 doctors, hopefully we finish the evidence tomorrow. We would be closing Monday.
I would expect either Monday or Tuesday. If the parties may need, I'll leave. We can talk about that. But my old experience, there's been a lot of evidence, and there's a lot of witnesses. And so if the parties feel that they need like a day to kind of marshal their thoughts, we could talk about that. So either probably Monday or Tuesday. We could talk about that tomorrow. All right. Anything else we need to
All the
to address?
trials going through next week.
All right. And so tomorrow we'll be in recess until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Hopefully we'll start with Dr. Resnick and then, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. You just kind of looked at that. Oh, so that would be the thought. And then we'll just kind of go from there. If the defendant rests, the Commonwealth can then present their witnesses. And if it's not done by Friday, we can go into Monday, and that may mean closings and charge on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right.
And Mr. Verino will be here, yes, to set up the Zoom.
So you're not going to trust me to set that up this time? I think that's a good move. All right. So thank you, everyone. And so we'll be in recess until tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court, all rise.
Wow. Wow. Okay, well, it was a short day. It was definitely a short day. So we have some kind of idea of what's going on now. We're not waiting for court to resume anymore. So we have some sort of idea of what's going on now. Looks like we're going to have more witnesses for tomorrow. Hopefully closing statements on Monday and then the verdict on Tuesday. So that is the plan according to the judge. And I thought it was pretty close to wrapping up. So it's good to know. It's good to know. So definitely will be interesting. We'll be back tomorrow. It's kind of crazy, like 11:47 in the morning, and it's already done. So we're going to go ahead and take the extra time to do some other things, get some other work knocked out of the way for some other stuff we got coming up for you here very soon. So thank you all for being here. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't. Make sure you come back tomorrow if you want to check out any of the other days that we have covered this. We've covered it from day one. So if you want to check out any of the older episodes, see what our thoughts and opinions were on day 1, day 2, day 3, all that. We do usually do the recaps right away in the morning or in the beginning of all the shows, and then kind of some of it as there's different breaks and stuff. But we do a little recap in the beginning of every episode for each previous day. And hopefully we can stick to it. So we got one more witness, maybe another one from the prosecution. We'll see. And then we should have closing arguments on Monday. So I think that's a good plan. I'm still kind of nervous, though. Still kind of nervous about if the jury is really going to be able to make that decision in a day. I don't know. I think they're going to, that hung jury. Let me know in the comments here as we get out. Do you think this trial will end in a hung jury? I still question it. Thank you all for being here. Have a beautiful, peaceful, positive day. And we will see you again tomorrow or maybe tonight. We'll see. Love you guys. Stay safe.